All right. Hey there, guys. It's Metro, and we are back. This is something a little different, that's for sure. We have BlizzCon today. It's been a long awaited thing. I've been like super hyped for it, honestly, a little overhyped for it. It's the first time I felt like this jittery for BlizzCon in a long while. And yeah, it paid off, man. I'll tell you what. The Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to start. Me and Cop are gonna get together. I'm gonna let him take the lead for a bit, but I can just say immediately right now that yeah, this is exceeded all my expectations. There wasn't a ton of things announced in terms of features, but yeah, it's something. So, all right, here, Cop's ready. I'm going to call him right now. Hello.
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
It's going good. How about you?
I'm so freaking hyped.
I can't.
I'm
I
having
mean,
trouble not using swear words. Let me put it to you that way.
yeah. Try it. Use one or two, man. You can go for it.
That was the shite.
Oh wow. Yeah, no, that dude, first of all, exceeded all expectations. I mean, who would have ever thought that they would announce more than one expansion at a time? And my first thought now after that is like, wow, the next BlizzCon's gonna be kind of weird, don't you think? Like, what can they announce at the next BlizzCon?
I don't know. I don't know.
I know, it's like
But
yeah, well, this was the big one, the 20th year anniversary. Yeah, this is a big one. So I
yeah,
don't I'm like completely overwhelmed. Like I was way too
me
hyped going
too.
into this. I can't even think. So you start. Tell me what your thoughts are and just ramble on.
My thoughts are they took the idea that I had with the Void War between, the Void and the Light, and they just stretched it out over three expansions and went so much deeper than I ever would have hoped they could. I am a lore nerd who's in heaven now. Like, oh, I can't believe it.
Yeah,
So
it's
happy.
pretty much like yeah, this is really what you wanted, right?
Yeah, it's exactly what I wanted. We've got a slow build towards where we're fighting the void. We've got a
Yeah.
whole expansion where we're fighting it, and then the fallout from that. I think we're going to eventually have to fight the light. You know what I mean? Because and this always sticks in my mind when I talk about this. That scene with Illidan from Legion, where the Naru tries to turn him into a demon hunter,
Hmm.
and I think eventually he's going to be back, and he's going to be like, "Look, guys, the Titans may have not told us everything, but
Yeah.
the Light's holding stuff back too."
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So
Totally agree with this. I've always agreed with this. I've always felt like it is not as plain and simple as the initial like lore had dictated it to be. What was the name of the second expansion again? I've already forgotten.
oh,
Yeah, it has a really
I
important name. I don't remember what it is,
oh yeah, it's
but
like darkness or something.
it's something dark. Yeah, Midnight. That's it. Yeah. Oh, that's so fucking
Midnight.
cool,
There you
dude.
go.
How is that not the
Yes,
coolest name for a WoW expansion ever, dude?
it's
Oh,
the best.
I am really shocked, dude. First of all, Chris Manson come out absolutely like giddy. I mean, I was trying to
Yeah.
explain to people who don't know anything about this company. Like this dude is a fucking rock star, dude. Like he is what
Yeah.
every person who's ever enjoyed video games wanted to be. You know what I mean? Like he basically took just some fucking random ideas and sketches in his head and brought them to life to the tune of billions of dollars of revenue and
Yeah.
billions of players who have enjoyed his ideas. And then he retires early, which, who knows what the truth is there, why he came and why he left. But one way or the other, he's back. And that dude was the perfect guy to see announce all that. And to hear the
Yeah.
passion in his voice, dude, like that instills me with such optimism for the future of this game that I am like, I'm always optimistic. You know me. I've never said a bad word about the game or the development, but like, to see that, it's like, okay, you just can't deny it now. Like if you're denying it, you're just fucking hating. Like that's all like I mean, you
Yeah.
really can't deny it. It's such an incredible, and the thing that's so incredible to me about it is that they are committed three expansions in the future. Now,
Yeah.
I think maybe it was even you bringing up or somebody else brought it up, but like maybe they're even shorter expansions. I don't know. People like get bent out of shape for this. It doesn't matter, dude. Like the fact
Yeah.
that they're actually committed this far in the future tells you they have their shit together. Like they're willing to do that means like it's planned out. Like it's gonna happen and it's gonna be great. Like there's no way we're gonna ever have anything like Wadigan or some shit where they're just gonna end up having to pivot and scrap halfway. They're committed to it. That means it's happening and it's going to be like very well fleshed out.
Yeah. I mean, just to cycle back a little bit on something you said. To me, Chris Metzen is like the beating heart of Warcraft. It wasn't the same without him, but now
Yeah.
that he's back, it's like it's got a whole new life. And I teared up. I legit teared up. I just, man, that dude. I
He's a rock star,
said it.
man. Like I said, dude, just seeing
He
him
is.
a little old, gain some weight, but he's still a fucking rock star, dude. It's so cool.
He's bald. So I
Yeah,
think what might have happened, and again, it's just speculating, is he might have had like a cancer scare or something,
maybe.
retired,
Yeah.
and is in remission and came back.
Yeah, you never know. I guess
But
we'll never know. Private lives are private, but I'm just so happy to see
absolutely.
him again. And like I said, dude, like that
Me
dude,
too.
you couldn't bring a better, like, I mean, I know a lot of people have differing opinions on people like Ian and some others, but like, dude, I don't think anybody hates Chris Metzen, right? Like
No,
the coolest thing, dude, I was
you,
trying to like,
Chris Metzen, and you're involved in World of Warcraft, just get out. Just get the hell out.
yeah,
Just
that's
be
it, right?
gone, and I never want to see you again.
And you know
You
what the
know,
fucking
like
coolest
just
thing is, dude? He's the guy who
what?
voiced Deathwing. So in that Cataclysm expansion announcement, that's him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's fucking insane, dude. Like, that was 30 years ago. He's Deathwing as well. You know, it's like, ah, that's just your
He's
dream.
so damn good.
Yeah, your dream career right there. So what else? What are
Oh,
your
that was amazing.
let's hear some more specific thoughts from you. I want to hear all about your ideas now.
One of the things that I'm really looking forward to is warbands. You know, I'm an alcoholic. I have
Hmm.
maximum number of tunes on the account, and one of the things that got me started to think about was Mythic Plus portals. One of the things that I one of the only things I regretted coming over to Dalaran was losing the portals that I had on my monk over on Fire Tree,
Hmm.
right? Because the ones from Wad and Mop, you carried me through, and the ones that I got, I worked really hard to get those ones from Shadowlands, you know.
Yeah, no doubt.
So it, that was one of the things I thought, you know what? They're talking about achievements being account wide. They're talking about having a warband bank. They're talking about having warband reputations, and oh my
Yeah.
god,
How
that
far will
means
they take it? That's the crazy question.
if they can do it well enough, you could probably swap out an alt with very little preparation. You just run some mythic pluses, get some gear, and you're
Yeah. Yeah,
in
so
an alt
we
instead of
agree
your
that
main.
it'll never be gear, right? Like does that expectation
No, it'll
set?
never be gear.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't see how they could ever do gear.
Yeah.
They might do the crafting system where I could have a tune on Fire Tree,
Hmm.
request some leather for my tune on Dalaran.
That would be good.
Yeah,
That
you
would be
know,
great. I'd like that
but
actually, yeah.
yeah, but I don't think it'll ever be like, oh well, here's a bunch of gear that I got in Mythic Plus. Let me just send it over to Fire Tree.
Right.
Never that,
Yeah, I
because
don't think so.
it would be exploited. Like they would be too easy to exploit that.
It just would change the game to a point that
Yeah,
I don't think it would be the same game. But yeah, in terms
for
of
sure.
like features, what was so like the warband, that was your number one thing, or what was there anything else that really stood out?
Delves really stood out to me because it feels to me like that's kind of like a combination of scenarios and islands
Yeah.
and that stuff that we did in the visions of Nazoth. All of it kind of everything they learned from those, this kind of smacked into one, and I can't wait to do them. I can't wait to do them solo with you, with a bunch of
Yeah.
people,
It's
whatever.
very interesting. I'm gonna tell you a little, like, let's go on a little journey here. Like,
Sure.
um, because honestly, I think this is something that people don't really think a lot about. So when when I grew up in this game, like there was no Mythic Plus, right? Like there was never anything to do outside of raiding. And WoW for me was always the things that weren't rating. That was the thing that made me love it because rating was nice, but that was like kind of the pillar. Like, you know what I mean? It's like when
Yeah.
you're young, you have school, but everything outside of school is what you really have as your life. School's mandatory, you know? So rating always looked like
Yeah.
that to me. And now that I've stopped rating, Mythic Plus has kind of become that. Like Mythic Plus is the staple. I do it constantly. It's, the pillar of the game's purpose for me, but it's not the thing I'm invested in the most, like emotionally. And Dragonflight
Yeah.
has been outstanding, but it doesn't really have anything. Like I don't really have anything besides rating besides Mythic Plus now. And the thing that I think is missing the most is something like Torghast. Torghast was not the
Yes.
most popular at the time, but I think that was mostly because people were just kind of weird about things being mandatory from Torghast, like getting the legendaries.
Mm,
I think if it just had Torghast, it would have been enjoyable for everybody and nobody would have really had much to say negative about it. But the thing that Torghast offered me was like some challenge, something, potentially progressive, something that you could play regularly as well, that was mostly for solo content, or at least that I was like, not like, if I did run with others, it wasn't like weird stresses like, am I going to get invited to this, is Blood DK good for this, like those types of things that you have in
yeah.
Mythic Plus. It doesn't exist in Torghast. You can just go in there as what you want to play, and no matter what, you're going to have fun. So Shadowlands was really, really good for that, and that was the most
Mhm.
fun I ever had outside of my main pillar of the game. And then Dragonflight having nothing has kind of been really weird. Like, I'm doing so many leveling challenges now because I just don't have anything that I really want to do. So the two
Yep.
main changes for potentially 11.0, I guess we'll just call, is the transmog changes. First of all,
Mhm.
I love collecting, like collecting in both
Yeah.
video games, IRL. Like I collect golf balls, like I'm a big collector.
Yep.
I have a bit of a problem with it. So the changes to transmog are very encouraging. It sounds like they have a really good head on their shoulders with that. And then, yeah, the whole delves idea. At first, I'm a little confused because it sounds like they're talking about instances, but they keep calling it outdoor content. So I don't really understand that. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's an instance, or is it actually like fully outdoor?
I think it's kind of both wrapped up in one, like where you'll get to a specific, you'll start it and it'll shard you into a shard, right?
Hmm.
You'll still be in all the outdoor zones, but you'll be in a specific shard for that instance, right? That's kind of my
Yeah,
thought.
maybe. Yeah,
I
because I'm wondering how
I
it
just want
wouldn't
to,
just be a gank fest or something like that.
yeah, yeah. It would have to be, especially if you've got PvP turned on or war mode or whatever have you. You
Yeah.
would have to be sharded in some way to protect from that.
Hmm.
Um, One thing about transmog, I just want to piggyback off what you said. One, I have always been the thing that stops me from transmog farming is I main a monk. So if I go back in and try to transmog farm in vanilla, there's very little in the raids, right? So something like that, like where I could
It's
take
an
my
interesting
monk
point. It's
and
an
just go
interesting
and
point. Yeah.
clear everything for my other characters, that is just
I
huge for
didn't
me.
I
Like I
didn't even
love
think
that
about
idea.
that. Yeah, that's a good point. And Death Knight has that problem with some of the, classic, and I don't really do
Yep.
TBC stuff, but like, yeah, that's a good point. Didn't even think about that. So that's really cool. But another thing that changes, right? Like, now you could farm it on any character. So if it's an item
Yep.
like the Tusk of Manaroth, instead of only I have like 7 or 8 plate characters, well, guess what? Now I have 50 characters I can do that on. You know what I mean? Like, no
Yep.
issues. Any character that can enter it can pretty much solo it at this point. So
Yep.
yeah, that's
And
wild. It's going to change the whole game. I think the collection aspect of the game is the true strength to it.
mhm,
I think WoW has always been expansion focused, but collection keeps the
yeah.
game as the focus. Like, you can get something from every expansion. There's always something to collect your catch your interest in collection. So I'm really, really happy about that. And yeah, like I said, the
Um,
delves, like yeah. So Drugless actually says some seems like they're using outdoor content as a term for people just not doing raids or dungeons. And I actually agree that might be what they mean, not
yeah.
like literally outdoors, but just not a raid or dungeon. So like
Yeah.
outdoors in the term of World of Warcraft, but not necessarily outdoors in the term of the players not being in an instance. So yeah, maybe
Yeah.
that's the case. But the fact that they're talking about Great
I
Vault rewards and stuff, like, I know did you know that they recently added heroic dungeons and time walking dungeons to the Great Vault for the dungeon
saw
slot?
that.
Yeah.
I
So
saw that.
yeah, so that tells me they're already thinking about this. I don't like, especially somebody who does a lot of Mythic Plus, I don't really care about that, but it is cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if you get any new players interested in the other, like if you get people who are suddenly interested in Mythic Plus because they have Great Vault options or something. Like, I don't know who this helps, to be honest. My only problem with world content has always been that it's been like super useless gear wise. Like, if you're like a
Yeah.
world content player only, well, that's cool because then there's some progression there. But if you want to do world content and Mythic Plus content, then it's like eventually it's just world content. It's like, okay, there's zero rewards from it. So we'll see what they actually do reward wise. But I don't really even care, dude. Like, I was actually thinking about this last
Yeah.
week. I was thinking about just leveling characters and just going into Torghast with them at level 60. Like, it's still fun. It's still, I think, maybe naked Torghast or something like that. So I'm thinking something like that with delves or whatever. That could be just a pastime, just something to log on for a few hours and maybe do some achievements in there, or just, if it's fun, if it's something like Torghast where there's dynamic powers, it's not always the exact same runs. I could be really down for that.
Yeah, me too. You know how much I love Torghast. You and me
Hmm.
did a bunch of stuff in there too. So I am 100% behind you with that. I cannot wait to get my hands on it and see what it does. It's just so good, so very good.
Yeah. So here's a question. I'm not sure if you thought about this, but they said this expansion will be later next year. And yeah, just to confirm, they did say on one of the panels that it's fall 2024. So
Yep,
that's,
that's what
the
I
normal
heard.
time. It's probably going to be exactly like the
Yep.
last three expansions that came out right before the holidays. They seem to like this for some reason. So I think it's just going to happen every time now. But anyway, his question actually was, what are we going to do for Dragonflight in the next year? And so the only reason I really wanted to talk about this was because Holly actually said they're they're working on the cadence of every 8 weeks having new content. And I,
Yeah.
I I never thought about it that way. Like I didn't know it was actually every 8 weeks, and I don't even know if that's legitimately true. But them saying it out loud, I have this like weird fascination with words that Blizzard say, because when I got to
Yeah.
meet everybody at the headquarters, I was basically told that like nothing that ever gets said by somebody in front of the company is not curated, right? So if they're going to actually say that on stage at BlizzCon, it means that they mean it, right? And I don't
Yeah.
understand how they could mean that if 1 full year from now is when the expansion is going to come out. What are your thoughts on what the rest of Dragonflight is going to look like?
I have a thought. Okay, so where season 3 is going to be probably the same as season 2, you're going to get like 26 weeks of it. And then we'll probably do a season 4. It's going to be faded. But during season 4, they're not going to do the launch bit. You know what I mean? I can't remember the word for it right off the, but they're going to do little chapters of it every 8 weeks during that season 4, so that we don't get 6 weeks at the end straight full of content. We get during season 4 every 8 weeks we get another chapter that we can do spend a couple days doing towards the next expansion.
And what
So
would
that
I,
to me is kind of where I was thinking.
I think they will just continually do small patches. And I don't know what seasons are going to look like. That's probably the real point that needs to be understood.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, there's no possible way they could have another full year worth of 8 week patches, right? Like, that doesn't even make sense. So who knows? I have no idea. But now it makes me think like the fact that they didn't say anything about Dragonflight. I think it's back on the table, man. Fourth raid. I think we might have another whole content cycle, man. I really
Didn't
do. Because,
didn't Holly
like,
say that Amidrasil was the last raid of Dragonflight? I thought she did.
did she specifically say that? Maybe. Okay. I
I
didn't.
think she specifically said the words last raid.
Ah, okay. All right. Well, maybe so then. The thing that I wonder though about, it's like when you have such a crazy expansion, like this is not something we've seen before. Like how the hell are we gonna, like, I knew that Xalatath was gonna be a character, and I knew that
Yeah.
Eridicron's involvement in that Harbinger stuff was gonna lead us to this. But like, where does he go? Like, where did the characters from Dragonflight go with this expansion? Like, I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of story left to tell. So I don't,
Yep, 100%. And
yeah.
that's what she said. It's going to be the epilogue and the prologue for the next one. So given that, they could do every 8 weeks. They could tell a bit more of the story. Say maybe 3 or 4 that's the epilogue, and then 3 or 4 that's the prologue. It depends how expansive they want to be in the pre-patch stuff, right? And if they can pull it out into a something that would take more than 5 seconds to do on the day it comes out, that might work really well.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't, the sky's the limit, man. They got heritage armor for races still. Can't wait to see Pandaren someday. I guess they do
Oh,
have
me
plenty of
too.
thing they can stretch out. It's just hard to understand where the story is going to go over that period of time. But yeah, that's cool. So in terms of like, let's see, what else? What else are your thoughts? Let's hear other organic thoughts from Cop.
My thought was, and this is something I've been thinking about for a while. Um, what the way that they're going to transition is probably going to be, um, we'll kind of follow Iridicron to Pandaria, because I still, that was when I was still thinking about the Southern Hemisphere, right? And he'll like slaughter the entire dominance and whatever the alliance one was, and there'll only be like one dwarf left, and he'll just be like Eridicron, and then he'll die, and then we'll be uncovering where he went, how he went, where we can go to get there, and that's kind of how I see the epilogue and the prologue playing out. It's going to be a mystery.
Hmm.
We're finding Iridicron. We're finding out how to follow him, and I still think that the Southern Hemisphere is on the table because they didn't
Oh
specifically
my
say
god, dude,
where.
are you serious?
They didn't say where the entrance is,
Oh my
right?
god,
Because
dude.
we
Enough
we
with
got
this other side of
overwhelmed.
Azeroth thing. I'm done hearing about it. I don't want to hear about this nonsense anymore.
The Titans have been lying to us.
Dude, they literally just told us where we're going for the next 3 expansions. It's not happening. That's not a thing. There's no other side of the map. It's a fucking map. It's flat for a reason. It's not a globe. Oh my god. I
It's a
can't believe.
globe in Alduar.
Oh, that's so funny,
It's a
man.
globe in Alduar.
Oh yeah.
Well, anyway, but either way, I think that's what's going to be. It's going to be us finding out that Iridicron has done something horrible, and then following him. And I'd love if it swirled back to Pandaria, and not for the whole Southern Hemisphere thing, but just because it's been a long time since we've been there.
Yeah. Yeah, how we actually get inside is the
And
big question. A lot of people were suggesting that there might be entrance points in every continent. I really think that would be cool because you know that
yeah,
technology that they've been working on with Zarelak Caverns. They mentioned it again in the new
yep,
islands or whatever, the new zones. I think that's going to be used there. I think every expansion might have a pathway to the new expansion. I think that might be cool.
absolutely. That could be, and I mean, and we know the expansion after the War Within, we're going back up to Quel'Thalas. So to have
Yeah.
an entry there might be where we go in too. So who knows? I just, man, this is going to be so good.
Here's a question. I do want to talk about the number one. I was waiting to see if you brought it up, but now we're going to force it. But before we do this, I
Okay.
want to read a comment here. Do we think these 3 expansions are going to be like the expansions we already know, seemingly in terms of the cadence of the content? If that's the case, we know what's happening for the next 6 years, or do you think it'll be more like yearly patches? What are your thoughts on the actual cadence now that we know 3 expansions in the future?
I think it's going to stick with the 2 year cadence. It just works so well for 3 raids, 2 years, pushing it so that people have time to get everything done. It feels very natural. As you know, I'm kind of still new to Mythic Plus, but to be able to get stuff the way and progress, and even in raid, it feels like that's a really good pace to me. That's so I would suggest it's probably going to stay at 2 years, but they're going to be more story packed in. There's going to be little bits of story every, who knows, 8 weeks maybe.
Yeah, could be condensed. But yeah, I think they'll probably end up doing shorter ones, but not significantly shorter.
Yeah,
Size here.
that could be.
Metzen mentioned a faster release, I believe, for the next saga of the game. Yeah, I think probably happening one way or the other, probably just because, if they have this all planned out, it's probably going to change the way expansions work, which I'm sure there'll be some pushback on because, this thing was $90 to buy this, but I'm happy to give it no problem.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I would say to that is, and I recall this from years and years ago, after you came back from Blizzard, you were talking about how they have the next 3 expansions planned,
Hmm.
them touring Blizzard's headquarters. So it's
Yeah.
not like planning 3 expansions ahead is new to them.
But yeah, so
It's just
okay,
it's new them showing us.
great fucking point. And let's talk about that really quick too. This is going to be all night. So yes, this is true. Okay, when I went to BlizzCon headquarters for the 2018 announcement, I saw Shadowlands stuff on the wall at Blizzard. Okay, but the 2018 announcement was about the middle of Battle for Azeroth. It was the Nazjatar patch that they announced. Okay, so that was a year, maybe 2 years in advance. They were developing Bastion. I saw mobs and landscapes from the zone, and I was like, wow, that's going to be the next patch for BFA? What the hell is that? And then I was like, wait, that's not what I saw. So I didn't even know it was for WoW. And then a year later, I
Yeah.
realized, what, that was from Shadowlands. So they've already been doing this. They probably already know the next 6 years on top of these 6 years, or whatever, 3
Yeah.
expansions, but they're committing to it verbally and in
Yeah.
front of everybody. And like Chris said, dude, this is them committing to the storytelling. They are all in. I think what he said, like, this is for all the marbles or something like that, Like, that's
Yeah.
serious business, dude. And the fact that they mention it multiple times, People are talking and they're listening. I don't necessarily think that's the best way to make the game, but I think it's a popular way to make the game. And a lot of people have
Yeah.
been talking about the story and the lack of cohesion and, just the sword in general, like the fact that there's big story points just sat there and then languishing for years for 3 expansions tells you that they had a little bit of a disjointed approach to it. BFA into Shadowlands didn't make a lot of sense. All 3 of these expansions are effectively one, sounding like one storyline tied all the way through many, many years, which is not something that
Yeah.
we've known they've been doing. They haven't done a great job of it in the past, but it is something they probably always had on their table doing it a certain way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it kind of filters back to what you said in that video you put out a couple days ago. Blizzard doesn't say anything that's not completely, cleared. So for them to say that on stage at BlizzCon with Metzen saying it, that tells me that they're 100% all in on this whole idea of
Oh,
the three
100%.
expansion story.
Yeah. The right people involved in that conversation too.
Oh yeah,
So, all right. So
absolutely.
here's the number one thing for me, dude. This is like the thing I've never seen something that's excited me more. Okay, I sent you a picture in Discord. Do you have it?
Give me a sec
Pull
to
that
bring
sucker
Discord
up on
up.
your stream.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
this
awesome.
is
I
it.
can't
This
wait
is
to see
it.
what the monk ones look like.
Oh, I can't wait to do. I'm going to talk about this for forever now. So this is my number one thing. Like I've always been excited about class stuff. If you know me at all, you know that like I've always been a big supporter of how the classes support the game and how they change the way it feels and how that fantasy behind the class is what the RPG element of the game is. Okay. Now, what I've always kind of been optimistic for is more of a connection to the characters that make the universe, right? Like for example, like Thrall, he is not a real shaman. You know what I mean? Like a shaman that you play
Yeah,
in the game is clearly not at the same level of Thrall. He has abilities, he has things that are not something a player has, right? Examples like that. I don't know what they're going to do with this system, but the hero talent idea is fucking genius, like unbelievably genius, because what it does is it unifies the talent trees. And when they originally announced the talent trees in Dragonflight, like in the Shadowlands, like we were still playing Shadowlands at the
hmm
time, that was the number one thing I was excited for, was the idea that I might be able to get some flavor of something that's not blood, but as a blood
hmm
DK, right? Like I wanted the frost
yeah,
spells as a blood DK, right? Or I wanted divine storm as a prop paladin, something like that, right? Well, so we
yeah,
don't know much because these images are purely just, obviously not finished at all. But when you read it, it really says something. I'm going to read Elun's Chosen to you guys now. It says, dedicate yourself to the moon goddess, increasing your control over the moon and stars. Infuse your abilities with astral might and call down potent lunar magic from the sky. And that immediately makes me think of one of my favorite things that's ever been in the game outside of Blood DK, and that was Guardian Druid having the legendary from Legion that allowed you to have the double Moonfire and the more powerful Moonfire. It really made the spec feel different. Like it was no longer just a tank, it was almost like a range DPS, a dot DPS. And I have always kind of fantasized about that idea in this game where you have almost like you're blurring the line between what you're playing and what you're not playing. And ironically, they talked a lot about this in Classic. So the thing that seemed to be prominent about the discussion in that new Classic thing was that like you're going to break down the walls of what the class historically is and isn't. And I'm wondering if that's not the exact same thing they're going to do with these talents. Like maybe
yeah.
it's going to revolutionize the way the spec actually functions. That might be too optimistic. I'll probably get ahead of myself here, but I do think, like, one way or the other, Keeper of the Grove, Elun's Chosen, these are great names, great ideas,
Yep.
great concepts behind them. They sound fantastical. They sound like high, very interesting. So, what are your thoughts? Let's hear your thoughts on this system.
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. And the thing that it kind of reckons back to me is where they talked about being committed to evergreen concepts, right?
Mm.
So, and this to me is the kind of concept that we can take from one expansion to the next. We can expand on it. We could add new types of hero talents, whatever. We can do this so that it always feels fresh, it's always interesting, and it's always different. So it's just I love this idea. I'm bloody shaking thinking about what could possibly be in the Brewmaster one that I might take as a Windwalker, or even vice versa.
Yeah.
Brewmaster might be a huge, uh, you know, fists of fury wielding, spinning crane kick, amazing. And oh yeah, oh okay. One of my guys here says, "Wait, so what? Class of X stop being specs and fire mages can be frost masters?" That's pretty much what we're saying.
It sounds like it. We don't
You
know for
can,
sure because we can't
yeah,
even see, like, they did not give an actual example. Like, the example they gave that they showed that we know for sure is that, like, if you go a certain thing for Prot Warrior or Warrior in general, Thunderbolt starts hitting more than one target. So
yeah,
it doesn't seem like that's very interesting. That was a fucking awful example. It looked cool as shit, but
yeah,
really not a very interesting example. So it's clear that they don't have these fleshed out, just like they didn't have talents fleshed out when they announced this years ago before
yeah,
BlizzCon or before Shadowlands was even over, right? So there's a lot
yeah,
of room to grow. But what I want to see though is something that like absolutely unifies the two classes or the two specs within a class. Can I be like, first of all, what the hell is what's like just think of some names. Like to me, names are pretty cool too. I always like that. I think it was like Arcade that like you had like these hybrid classes with really badass sounding names. So I know it sounds trivial and maybe a little like RP-ish almost, but I really like Blood Death Knight. That's a fucking badass sounding
mhm.
name. So I'd love to be like Blood Death Knight, like something crazy else. What are your thoughts? Like what are the monk options? Like what could they delve into with that?
About winds of the brew or something like that. There, maybe you could have winds of the mist. Like you could that could be the ones that go from between those two.
Okay.
Um,
I was thinking
as
something
I'd have to
celestial related. What do you think?
yeah. Oh, that would be absolutely. Swen's fury, or Nizau's endurance, something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe Chi uh, Chi's spinning something. I can't think. Sorry.
Chi-Chi? Yeah.
Chi the red crane.
That one. Yeah, no, I know all about him. But yeah, I totally think that like the name of them and like the concept of them are going to be as cool as anything about them because I don't know, to
Yes.
me like Keeper of the Grove, like there's always been druids, but the Keeper of the Groves, they're like a bigger druid. Like they're a higher tier of druid. I can't really think of
Yeah.
anything like that for Death Knight, or probably most classes. Like druid, that they picked a good one to start with because those ones these make sense. But like maybe paladin, like Crusader, right? Crusader could be like a
Yeah.
more offensive focused paladin, no matter which of the three specs you are. Something like that. But like, there's not a ton of great. I mean, like High Lord or something like that. But like, I
Death
don't really
Lord's embrace
know.
for DKs.
What'd you think?
Death Lord's embrace for DK.
Okay, yeah,
You know,
some yeah, Death Lord, that
because
yeah, certainly.
that was what they called you in Legion, was the Death Lord,
True.
because you were the leader of the.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I don't know what they call druids in Legion.
uh, Nor do I. I
Yeah.
don't ever really
But
play
anyway, this
druids.
is like and so there's a archdruid. There you go. So this is a
There you go.
really interesting concept to me because it feels like the future of what class design is going to be, and it feels like it's very like fantasy driven. Like it's not just going to be, and of course, like everybody's already clamoring about like meta and balance. I just don't give a fuck at this point, man. I really don't. Like,
Yeah.
if there's a way to specialize my Death Knight into even more specialization type content, then I'm ready to go for that. And the only thing that I actually am a little disappointed with is that it doesn't start until the end game content. You know how much I love my leveling challenges.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see, man. I don't know what the what the leveling situation is going to look like. What are your thoughts on the new zones and stuff?
I like all of them. I really do. My arachnophobia is acting up hugely, but I'll get through it because they all look like they're a different game. It all looks like it's something that is just that next level in. And yeah, I tend to think that first zone, again, names out of my head, is going to be my favorite place. I love the architecture there. It reminded me of Zaldazar, but with the kind of a dwarf feel to it. So, I mean, I can see me spending a lot of time there, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, the zones are really cool, but I suddenly just ran into something that we got to talk about now. New Wowhead
Okay.
article. I'm going to read this article to you, okay? It says upgrade
Okay.
Thundering Storm Rider's pre-order armor with lightning by dragon riding. Here's what the post says. The transmog set can be upgraded to the Thundering Storm Rider's attire upon completing the special race courses available with the Algarian Storm Rider. Did you buy the expansion yet?
No, I can't afford the expansion yet.
Okay.
It's going to take me a few months because I'm still paying off my computer, right? So
Oh
it's
yeah,
going to take
no
me a few
worries.
months before I
But
can get
yeah,
that.
there's a mount. It's called the Algarian Storm Rider. I was actually looking at it before in my stream. There's like customization as well, which is pretty intricate, I would say.
Wow.
You could change like the mount like looks entirely, like change it from blue to purple and yellow and stuff. So that's pretty cool. But this post is like I don't. This is pretty crazy to me. You're actually going to be able to do content to change the way the gear looks. Maybe that's a feature that comes actually for other gear. What do you think? Finally having gear and maybe dyes, like the idea of changing the actual gear's appearance. How do you maybe you think
I
something like
think
that might
I,
happen?
I I think so. And I mean it's not even entirely new because of course we've gotten those dragon riding glyphs throughout Dragonflight every time we do stuff that's not, dragon riding necessarily, right? So
Yeah.
to me it's kind of an iteration on that and I love it. I'm totally here for it to have like my rogue in all black leather, with
Hmm.
just maybe some golden highlights and stuff, or my monk in a very monkey green type of stuff would be huge for me. Just all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it 100%. I'm here for it,
Yeah. A lot of
even though
optimism
I'm
with
not
it.
very good at dragon riding.
Oh yeah, you're gonna struggle.
Yeah, but I'll get it done.
So anyway, back to the
Progression.
zones. So yes, let's hear more about the zones. What are your thoughts on some of them?
Again, I names are completely escaping me, but I really kind of like not just the overland one, but the one where we're going underneath. I saw the one with the Arathi there, and immediately it felt like the Scarlet Crusade.
Hmm.
And I think we might have a very similar interaction with them as we've had with the Scarlet Crusade, in that some of them are going to be very hostile, some of them are going to be nice. And then the Nerubians, I always felt like that was a story that needed to be told because it didn't feel like we got much closure for it in Lich King, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a
And
good
they
point.
are the product of the old gods, the same as the ones in Pandaria across the wall. They're products of the old gods,
Right.
so it makes sense for them to be with the void.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't really think of it that way. Yeah, I'm looking at the zones now on Wowhead, and Hollow Fall is the name of that zone that we were just talking about there. That is like some crazy level. Like, oh my, here I gotta send you this picture because you need to look at the same
Oh,
thing. Like, this is
let's
actually
see.
nuts, dude. This picture is like one of the nicest things I've ever seen in WoW. I think. Here, I sent it to you on Discord. Open that shit up. This is
Oh
like, I mean,
man,
what the hell is that? That I thought that I think somebody brought it up. They thought it might be a raid, but it doesn't sound like it's a raid. So it's like, okay, yeah, let's go there. I want to set my heart there.
that might be the Priory dungeon
Oh, okay. Is it a dungeon? Maybe, yeah.
because I think Priory was one of the 8 dungeons they talked about. And it looks like almost a Scarlet Moon Cathedral type of thing,
Hmm.
or some kind of cathedral to the light.
Freaking insane looking though, yeah.
Oh man, look at that detail.
I know,
It's
like with
just
the lighting
nuts.
and everything, right?
Oh yeah, it's so good, so good. And I love the fact that the underground light changes to void sometimes.
That was
I would
freaking
love to
cool,
see.
dude. I don't understand
I
what
would
that
love.
means for the zone, but yeah, that is so freaking cool.
I would love to see that affect the outdoor stuff, like the world quests and those delves. Like if it altered them in some way, like maybe they make some harder, maybe it makes some of them easier, maybe it just gives it a void tinge to it.
Hmm.
It would be amazing.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So my initial like we talked about this months ago, but like underground dungeons, unfortunately, I'll never love because there's no skyboxes. But I'm looking at these places and it's like, no, there are skyboxes. So I don't really understand how in what way it's underground. But yeah, I like what I see. Like this Isle of Dorn, I didn't really understand where this was meant to be, but it's in the same underground area, no?
Yeah, I think so. Like
Yeah,
they talked about how big the underground was that it would feel like it was on the surface, right? So
right.
which brings me to another point. It looks like dragon riding's going to all your mounts now, and
Yeah,
I'm so here for that.
yeah, I think it's legitimately like they showed random mounts flying with dragon riding. It's called dynamic riding or something like that. It's dynamic flying or
Yep,
something.
it's a to me it's a nice way of giving us another step in flying. You know, they put it out in Dragonflight, made sure it worked really really well, and now they're making it kind of
Right, yeah,
that's the next
evergreen.
step.
Yeah, they mentioned that many
Yeah,
times
evergreen.
about yeah, like just everything that they design now is is going to be there in the future too, which I absolutely love. It's just so cool, man. Like this is what the game needed for so long. There was so many good systems, but then they just remake them every 2 years and it's like you can't expect them to put great legacy into these systems then because if they're just going to get removed, what's the point? Like why would they make them as good as they possibly can be, you know what I mean?
Absolutely 100%. It's there's just no, I mean, that was the thing. I mean, look at how hard Legion was to get the proper legendary, to max your weapon out, and then all of a sudden, all that's gone
Yeah.
right at the end. You know,
Hmm.
we emptied out our weapon to depower the sword, and we none of the Legion stuff or the legendary stuff worked past it. So Shadowrun, same thing. All that work to get those legendaries, none of them do anything now, right?
Yeah, it's sad. Put a lot of effort into all that stuff. So Tubb says
Yeah,
Isle of Dorn is they said it's going to be above ground, and the other three are the ones under. So that's interesting if that's the
yeah,
case because it does have a skybox. I'm
yeah,
looking at the pictures now, and there's like a moon. You know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, well, that's
yeah.
got to have a skybox then.
For sure. Average Brad says Isle is above ground at the entrance to the underground stuff, so that's where we go down.
Ah, okay, cool.
Is at that aisle.
It's so great, dude. This architecture. What did you say? You look like Zuldazar, but with dwarf architecture. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Amazing.
Yeah,
Absolutely
that's
amazing.
so cool, dude. And like I'm just looking at these pictures now, and all I can think of is like, man, what is the music gonna sound like?
Oh, they're gonna
Hmm.
knock it out of the park. They always do.
I'm a big
They
music guy.
always do. Yeah. Shwam bam bam shwamma bam
bam,
bam.
bam, 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 bam. Yeah, no doubt, man. The music's where it's at in this game at times, and so yeah, I don't. So let me read this post. It says, "Journey to a new level cap of
Okay.
80 as you explore the vast empires beneath the surface of Azeroth and discover ancient civilizations in 4 new zones: the surface level Isle of Dorn. Okay, there we go on that. The industrial
Mhm.
ringing depths, unexpectedly bright and lush Hollowfall, and Aj Kahet, a pinnacle of Nerubian society. So, yeah, the one zone's gonna be
Interesting.
like all spiders and stuff, and then the other ones are pretty much just they're more diverse. It looks like so that's cool.
Yeah. We're gonna be. It's definitely a dwarf expansion. I guess
It's
the leaks were right
yo,
there.
dude. Actually, you know what? I want to talk about that. Like, I don't think I've ever seen an expansion that was never even remotely leaked. Like,
Yeah.
nobody would have guessed this, right? Raise your
No.
fucking hand if you thought they were going to announce 3 expansions at BlizzCon. Like, nobody would have ever said that. Not a single human being on the planet.
Nope. No. Nobody on the planet would have said that.
That's something.
I'm just glad I got as much of the story right as I did.
Yeah, you ended up being pretty much right on it. That's funny.
Oh man, I don't know. That that whole thing is just like, how do they keep that quiet?
It's really weird, right? Like, how does anything ever leak, but this stuff didn't leak? It's pretty nuts.
Makes me think that other leaks might have been intentional.
I always
You
thought
know?
that. I always thought that like some of these pieces of art and stuff that get out, it's like there's no way that somebody would have got that out. Like you sign NDAs when you walk in that building, dude. Nobody's gonna risk going to fucking jail over this. You know what I mean? Like it's just not worth it, dude. Like it's a silent win. You don't do anything with it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like, and you could get sued for millions of dollars.
Oh,
You know?
they literally will
So
own your yeah. You'll never make a dollar again. Like that contract that I signed was the scariest thing I ever put my name on. But yeah, in terms of like more expansions and like yeah, Quel'Tha Loss, dude, that is such a cool sounding idea. I've always loved the Blood Elf I like zones and kind of theories and all the stuff that's going on up there, you know? So what are your thoughts
yeah,
on those things?
it goes back to something I said in my predictions that there, and it kind of leaks back to something we were both talking about and hoping for really hard. Is this revamp of every zone? For so long, it has always bugged me that Quel'Thalas and the Draenei Isles are not part of Azeroth.
Mm,
it seems like if they're going to put the major expansion in Quel'Thalas, it has to become part of the whole continent. And I'd be surprised if they didn't do the same thing with the Draenei Isles. So that leads us to what we've been talking about for a while with new zones, the Chromie time changes, all this stuff. I think it's finally happening, buddy. My hopes are hugely high right now
Yeah,
for
and
that.
like, so if you guys aren't aware of what's being talked about right now, like for years I have been begging Blizzard to put effort back into the old world to make the entire like universe whole again, make it feel like it's not lost in time. The number one I have is them actually returning the classic content to the live version of the game via Chromie time. But obviously, second to that would be them doing a remake of old zones. Now, in the second expansion, they literally confirmed that Quel'Thalas is going to be the setting. So that's like there's not a lot there right now. You know what I mean? So they would pretty much
Yep.
have to do a full remake or whatever of that area. And like Cobb said, since that's 2 expansions away, that sounds like that might finally be the time they do it, right? Like at that point, almost kind of like confirming it by saying they're back in Quel'Thalas. And Chris took the time to say like we're going back to the old world. Like he said that twice, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
that's pretty, I mean, that might be pretty convincing, I feel like at that point.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, Bradley here says Northrend for the third expansion, which I
Mm,
think I heard somebody say that. I probably
yep.
mentioned, but
Yeah, that's right as well.
so that's the same thing. That's like everything before Cataclysm.
Well,
Looks like
yeah.
it's getting some kind of glow up.
Minus like actual outline, I guess. But yeah, who knows? You never know. You never know what they'll do. Like that's
Yeah.
so potentially so far away from now that the sky's the limit. The fact that we even know we're going there at all really helps, get the imagination going in the right direction at least.
Yeah. I don't even care if they change the content as long as they make it so the trees don't look like they're from a 20-year-old video game anymore, you know? Like when I'm flying over some places in the old world,
Mm.
I can the game feels very dated because of
Yeah,
the
that's
trees
my big
underneath
issue
me,
with
you
it.
know?
I was actually just talking
So,
about that this morning. I was doing another leveling challenge episode and going into Orgrimmar as a low level character, it's just like, what the hell is this place? Like there's like 40 quests
yeah.
in the throne room and there's like characters that aren't even alive, like 4 characters that aren't even alive anymore in there. It's just that's the
Yeah.
big issue with it to me. Like it's such a long miasma of a game that if you're new to it, you'll never figure out what happened with all these characters. You'll just never catch up. You know what I mean? There's just no way to
Yep.
catch up. So maybe, yeah, maybe that will finally be the time that they decide to reinvest everything into it.
Yeah, and it's like when they were announcing Shadowlands, they were talking about quote unquote war chief roulette, and that just doesn't feel good, you
Mm.
know,
Yep.
to go there and Thrall's there, Garrosh is there, and then we've got a council now, and Sylvanas is there. No, no, we've got Troll Dude there. Heck with
Yeah.
it.
It's been
Just
a lot of story that supersedes the actual content.
yeah, for sure. We need to, and I would love if they, even if it didn't give you any actual rewards, I would love if there were quest lines where you could go back and see condensed versions of what happened in past expansions,
That is
so you could go
something.
into the new one
Yeah, that is
with an
something that
idea.
people brought up years ago that they should have done instead of how they handled the questing changes. That they should have just made like a scenario that runs you through everything that happened for each major storyline, and that would be how you
Mhm.
level your character. And I actually really liked that idea when it got brought up, and I still would
Yeah.
be hugely in favor of it. But I do think like now that they're committed to almost like story 2.0, like let's just call it that because
Yeah.
it's obviously a very different approach now than they've ever had before. It makes me wonder they're probably going to distance themselves a bit from how they told their story in the past, where there's just all this disjointed things. So we may never see a feature like that, but maybe going forward, since we know these 3 expansions are all crucial, right? Like if the
Hmm.
expansion keeps going up to like say another, what we would be level 100, right, for the third one now,
Yep.
then maybe 80 through 100 are that kind of recap where they're all, because like think about it, right? Like I just thought about it right now. If you have to get to the third expansion, well, the previous 2 expansions are apparently crucial story wise, so that's certainly going to have some impact on how you level the characters at that point, right? They have to
Yep.
do something.
Yeah. I mean, if you're someone who didn't play in TBC, Quel'Thalas is going to be meaningless to you. So you have to get that kind of experience. You have to find a way to to give that story to people. And I think it's super important that it happens in game. I love the books. I always read all the books, but it has to be in game. There has to be a way for people to get that experience within the engine of World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a way that they could do it. Who knows if they will?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think there's some big changes coming to how the narrative's delivered, and that could be like so far reaching. You know what I mean? Like the game has
Yeah.
always struggled with this to some degree, like we've just been saying. So this could really change the flow of the game. It might be really
Yeah.
transformative.
And I'm telling you what, I'll make a long reaching prediction right now is that after that third expansion, we go to the next one after that. I'm predicting another level squish. So
Yeah,
we'll get
I
to
wouldn't be
100, we'll
surprised.
go back to 60.
I think so. I
And
think
then
there's
that
gonna
will be
be.
our treadmill is 60 to 100 back to 60.
I think it would be
So,
really important to do it too, because then they could really focus on keeping the story cohesive. Because like they kind of did this
yeah.
with when Shadowlands came out. BFA was like the main way you're supposed to level. You know what I mean? Like they kind of put that front and
Yeah.
center, and that was kind of them saying like, "Hey, listen, all that shit before BFA, it's a little sketchy. Don't worry about that. Just stick in this. This is gonna get us into Shadowlands." I could see that same thing happening, just straight up level squish, and then the expansions are just they're just there if you want to go mess around in them. Otherwise, the main story is taking you through the previous, like the core three. What's it even called again? The
Yeah.
World Soul Saga. Is that right?
Yeah, the World Soul Saga. Yeah, it's
That's a good
the
name.
war underneath or something like that. Midnight, and then I can't remember the third one.
Yeah, the War
um,
Within, Midnight, and the Last Titan.
there you go. And of
Dude,
course,
and
the Last Titan is Azeroth, right?
yeah, and the art was crisp too. Like, oh my God, was that cool looking?
Oh,
They had all three.
for sure.
Like, I feel like those are the best three expansion icon arts I've ever seen, and they're all for three expansions that are yet to come.
100%. I'm so taken aback that they are that far along and they're able to show us stuff.
Hmm.
It's just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Well, we're also going to be sitting here through the classic panel, so we've pretty much said everything we can about the live game. Do you have any more things you want to add on that?
Hmm, not to come to mind this second, but we got 19 minutes to fill before the classic panel comes up. So,
That's, yeah,
um,
good segue to classic. Yeah, might as well talk about it.
uh, I'm kind of I might play some of that 1 to 25 bit of classic. I'm really interested to see how that works because it's a condensed version of a very long game, right?
Well, I
So it'd be
don't think it
interesting to see.
is. Do you think it's condensed?
Well, because there's only 25 levels to get to, right? And then you've got all those
Well,
extra
initially.
stuff that you can get. Yeah, but then maybe 4 months down the road they'll add another 10, and then or maybe 15 or maybe 5. Who knows? So
So,
it's a way of keeping it evergreen, like they talked about.
right, they certainly want that for classic too. That's a huge, huge issue for classic. I'd imagine they can't keep they can't like. Let's be serious. Like this Cataclysm shit, man. I have no idea why they're doing this. I think the only reason they're doing it is because there's like groups of people who have formed communities on that classic
Mhm.
progressing classic now. And like if they were just like, hey, by the way, it's over after Wrath, then those communities would shatter, you know what I mean? And they don't want
Yeah.
that. But it's like I posted the thing of what Alex Central said. He actually made it made
I
me
saw
laugh when I
that.
read it. He's like, hey, we're listening, blah blah blah, we're listening. Here's Cataclysm Classic. And he was very indignant about that concept, which is stupid on his part because obviously there are people who want Cataclysm, but it is almost
Yeah.
kind of funny. I have to agree with him on that to some degree because it's not. It's just not classic. Like, come on, dude. Cataclysm is
Yeah.
the reason that people wanted classic in the first place. So unless they have some big
Yep.
major changes coming to it, I just don't really see. Like, you can just go freaking do Firelands on live. Wow, man. There's just nothing there. There's nothing unique that isn't in the live game. There's not a single thing in Cataclysm that isn't still in the game. Not a
Yeah.
single thing. Like, it's nothing. So I don't really know why they're bothering with it. I like what they're thinking about with the other
Mhm.
classic product, like the Season of Discovery or whatever. Uh,
Yep.
just unfortunately, it's coming out at just the worst possible. I mean, it really couldn't be a worse time. 2 weeks after the
Yeah.
season opens, what? It's a horrible, horrible decision. I was actually really impressed though that they're not going to do any testing. at all. What you
Yeah.
thought? What were your thoughts on that?
I thought that was genius because that way everybody gets it at the same time,
Yeah.
and everybody's gonna be finding out all the secrets because apparently there's gonna be so many new secrets, stuff that wasn't in the original classic. So I love it. That's the other reason why I consider playing it is finding those things that weren't in the original classic. Like maybe I can fish up the Ashbringer. Who knows?
It's very interesting because that is something that has always been like the core of what classic is in my eyes. Like when the game was first out, nobody knew anything. And if you even go back and look at like Wowhead, like comments on classic things, there's those thoughtbot things that have been integrated on over to Wowhead. And there's like comments of people like genuinely not having any idea what a quest is or how to do it or items, where you get them. What is this spell? That is like, oh man, that just makes me kind of nostalgic. Like it's like, wow, man, I don't
Yeah,
remember a time when these things weren't data mined so heavily that everybody knew every single thing before the expansion launched. You know what I mean? It's sad
yeah,
that that is what the game's become. Now, to be fair, in the modern version of the game, they are trying to stop that with a lot of new things, but I just still, that is probably the best feature of that. Like the whole level cap to 25 and wait 3 months thing, like that's just not interesting. The main thing that I hear about that too, that I'm really concerned with is like what happens to that raid that they're putting into Black Fathom Depths when you're 60? Like, you're just gonna go in there and solo everything? Like, I don't really know what the point of that is. But people have been asking for it, so they listen, quote unquote, like Classic Plus. I think what a lot of people, there's no consensus on what Classic Plus is. It's a terrible.
yeah,
It should not happen because it's just not ever going to please everybody. So I guess there's some people who are unhappy with it. I just don't even care. I'm not even looking at Classic info right now. But will I play it? No, because it's just a terrible time. If it came out today, while there's no new, like if it came out 2 weeks ago, I probably would have played a ton of it. Yeah. But it's just
yep,
terrible timing and just not ideas that are interesting to me. I like the idea of them sprucing up classes, like I showed pictures of it. Rep Pally, especially, looks like it's going to be some like AoE cleave god all of a sudden with some of these spells they're getting. But it's just like, for what point? Like when you're doing, I don't really see the future of it, but I'm glad that they're trying new
yeah.
things at least.
I think the reason that they're continuing to iterate is because of achievements, right? A lot of this stuff didn't become account wide until MOP. So I can remember in Kata, I would make a new character, I would log in and go to the mailbox, and there was my Celestial Steed sitting there because I had bought it and there was no account wide thing to bring it up. And I said this when the original Classic came out. If there is a mount that is gone from the game and you want it in the game, you should start farming it now. Because eventually, if they get to Kata Classic and then Mop Classic, you will still have that Zulian Panther or whatever the mount was from ZG, right? And you will
Oh,
actually be able to use it account wide on your live game as well as on your, you know, classic game.
wait.
So that's kind of my thought where they're going with that.
Okay, but that's speculation, or did they say that?
That's my speculation
Okay,
because
yeah,
it makes sense to me. You know what I
got it.
mean? Like I don't know if they will do that, but to me that's because I was having that conversation with on the stream the other day where I was talking about, look, they're going to do Cata Classic, and someone was like, well, why would they ever do that? I said, well, count wide stuff like mounts. And he's like, well, that's Wrath of the Lich King. I said, no, they didn't come out in Wrath. A lot of that didn't come out until Mop. And I was like, you know what? They were talking about bringing back the Mop challenge modes in live game. I was like, they probably won't do that, but if they do Mop Classic, guess what? You can go and get all that stuff, and it will be account wide, and you'll be able to do the challenge modes again in Mop and eventually WAD, and that's to me why they're doing that.
I
But
would be
again,
very
entirely
happy.
speculation.
I would be very happy if they did that, but that would be something I think they would have announced if they were going to do that.
Well, again, we're not anywhere near Mop Classic yet. We're still just into Cata Classic, and they just announced Cata Classic. So who knows? Maybe that's the big feature they announce at next year's BlizzCon.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess it still has the potential to change in the future. One thing it says here for Cataclysm Classic though is account wide collections, and it's just a picture of two characters wearing like transmog. So I don't know. That's what I thought you were trying to say, that they actually did announce that. Um, but I assume that just means account wide for Classic, not account wide for all your BattleNet accounts. That's the thing I would want to see the most. Like if they ever, like me and Paxi talk about this all the time. Like if they put the ability to go get the Zulian Tiger in ZG and have it on my Death Knight when I log on, yeah, let's go make
Hmm.
a raiding guild in Classic. Like I'll be playing it constantly. Like those things are more coveted to me than anything that's even
Yep.
available in the game right now, because they're so unique and iconic from the past.
Yeah, and I mean, there's always the trading post too for stuff like that eventually,
Yeah.
but who knows?
Yeah. So hey, speaking of, good transition here. So 1,000 tenders from the Epic purchase, which I have purchased. But on top of that, we have some controversial decisions from Blizzard, although maybe not surprising at this point.
Hmm.
Guaranteed beta access, and then also early access to the game. What are your thoughts on those two things?
I'll talk about guaranteed beta access first because there was apparently some small print about that. They did the same thing with MOP when you got the 1 year thing where you said, "I'm going to be here for a year, I guarantee it." You were getting guaranteed beta access, but it didn't come out for a long time. So there's that. I think that'll probably work the same way. But when it comes down to the 3 day early, that makes me a little concerned because now I have to get that version of the game.
Hmm.
There's just, and I hate to sound, like I'm trying to be a greedy streamer looking for money and all that kind of stuff. It's not about that to me. It's about there's so much that I can do, and I'm gonna miss all of that hype in that first 3 days if I don't have access. So
Yeah.
to me, that I need that, and it's a lot more money. So that bugs me a little bit. That bugs me a little bit.
It's pretty expensive. Um, Honestly, the thing that bothers me the most about it is like what you just said there. Like the launch night is something that's very special in WoW, and I don't
Yeah,
really think this helps that. I think it hurts that, like it makes it worse. And
yeah.
but like at the same point, like I think, like I don't know, what's the Diablo one, did they have these tiers of purchase and it was the same way?
I think
Faxi
so.
says
That's
I'm
what
willing
Jix
to,
was saying.
yeah, like you had to buy the most expensive one. Faxi says I'm willing to bet they make the 3-day early thing to the Epic edition at some point. What is that, like a lower one? I don't even know what
Yeah,
they're
that's
called.
the middling. That's the middling edition is Epic.
Okay. Yeah,
So
it's just not.
maybe,
If you're listening, that's not it. You know what I mean? Like that's not how you please your customers. Because it's not
yeah,
the same kind of game. Like WoW is not some game that 3 days doesn't matter on. You know what I mean? Like that's a big difference if you're not playing it at launch. But on the counterpoint to that, that if they do this, which it seems like they will, significantly going to improve the quality of the servers, right? Now, to be
yeah,
fair, the
yeah,
servers have been very good in the last few expansions, but Dragonflight's launch, if you remember, was a little bit unfortunate. You were just sat there for like
yeah.
30 minutes without being able to do anything. So if like half the
I
fucking
remember.
player base isn't able to play the content, then you would assume that everything would be more smooth. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
make it easier on the servers, but and they said they're not going to open Mythic Plus or any of that other stuff when they do for that 3 days. So it's essentially just leveling, maybe farming mats for your profession, and getting a jump on that, which would affect the economy, of course. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Presumably zero impact on actual like end game power. That would have to definitely
Yeah,
happen for this to be considered. So we'll just assume that's going to happen for sure. But the whole like my question actually right now is, what day are we talking about here? Because WoW's always launched on a Tuesday with the servers resetting. It's been a bit of a weird controversial topic because then EU's reset wasn't until Wednesday. So at one point, if you leveled really quick on launch night, you'd actually be able to get a reset in before the extra resets everybody else gets. Now they've changed that, so you can't do that kind of stuff anymore. But like, still, like, what day are we talking here? Because honestly, dude, like 3 days early from Tuesday is the fucking weekend. I don't really want it to launch
yeah.
on the weekend. I would prefer it didn't launch on the weekend. But
I'm right there with you, buddy.
yeah, that's probably Saturdays or maybe even Friday. I don't.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah, it just depends because the game's been launching on Monday night. The global release has been Monday night. So
Hmm.
that means Friday night. Like I'm not. That's not exciting to me at all. I don't care. I bought the fucking game. Like I get it.
Hmm.
Money's a thing for a lot of people, but like it's $90, dude. That's nothing to me. I'll buy that, no doubt, every single time they launch an
Yeah.
expansion. But yeah, I just don't think it's good to incentivize people buying that just for 3 days. I don't like that.
Yeah. And I mean, anything more than 3 days is too much anyway, right? Like, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I just think it's a bad idea overall.
yeah,
So
just bad idea. Just maybe just undo that or something. I don't know if they can at this point, but I would rather not have that happen. But besides that, everything
hopefully
about the
they.
actual expansion has been stellar. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, me
Classic,
too. It's
not so much, honestly, but yeah, I would say that they got their head on their shoulders. It's the most exciting time for WoW, I feel like ever. You have
yeah.
effectively three products receiving like their best foot forward, right? Like I
Yep.
actually was on the fence about them maybe even announcing a fourth project. Like I thought that when Chris Metzen was talking about like the future of WoW, I was like, what the fuck are we gonna have a fourth game here at this point? Like I didn't know what he was talking about, you know what I mean? Because the way it was
Yeah.
described, I'm like, what Dragonflight just didn't get touched. Like they didn't even mention Dragonflight. So I'm like, wait, are they not going to announce an expansion? I was like, for a second, I was like, wait, are they not announcing an expansion today? Is this a new game that they're announcing instead? But like, yeah, that's just how crazy the stuff is. Like you never would have predicted how far in advance this stuff is being drawn out.
Well, yeah. It's insane. It's so huge that it's a change to the entire philosophy of how they've been doing the game so far. So, and I think for the most part, I think it's a really good one.
Yeah,
But
it can't really like it could backfire, but the story can't, right? Like if they have a
yeah,
plan, the further out the story's planned out, the better for everybody. Like I think that's
yeah,
probably the best way to look at it. Like if they know exactly what they're doing 3 expansions in the future, then there's not going to be this weird like, hey, just wait and see, like they did with Sylvanas. Like, oh, yeah, no, don't worry about her. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, nobody wants to do that. So if you don't tell them what they're doing, people are going to immediately assume that it's not going to be satisfactory to them and then they're just going to give up on it.
yeah. Shades of gray. You don't know what Sylvanas is doing. We
Mhm.
can't tell you. Hashtag soon. All
Yeah.
that crap.
The weird part about that cinematic. Oh, first, let's talk about that fucking cinematic. What'd you think of that?
Oh yeah. Oh, that was peak Blizzard. I think that's the best one they've ever
I
done.
think it is. I think it
I've never
not even close.
Metro, what do you think is the best
I've never
healer
been a
for
fan
Mythic
of Anduin,
Plus?
but I like this
Blood
Anduin.
Death Knight.
Like this is a guy who's been through stuff. They didn't just put him back as a priest and the head of the humans. They made him deal with what the jailer did to him, and I think that's just insanely cool.
That was so freaking cool, dude. Yeah, to see that he is like so affected by that, that was
Yeah,
so freaking cool. And I don't know if you caught it. Maybe I think a screen grab is needed for this. But there was a really
okay.
cool little, almost like an Easter egg in this. Let me see if I can find this for you here. But yeah, no, that cinematic was, I think, like I will say, like the most realistic one. Would you say that?
Yeah,
Like looking,
100%.
yeah.
I I would say that cinematic was very close to what I would expect from Blizzard if they did another movie. If they did another movie and just had the cinematics team do the whole thing, that
Mm.
would be what I would expect from it.
I would kill for
And
that,
it's
dude.
I'm here for it. Me
I
too.
would kill for that.
I
That'd be
would kill
such
for
a
the for a 3 movie set that talks about Arthas.
right.
Shows his progression through being a paladin to being a death knight to being the Lich King. To me, that would just be
That'd be
huge.
fucking awesome, yeah. Hold on, so I'm gonna send you this clip here, this little screen grab of this, okay? This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
this is pretty cool in my eyes, and obviously the cinematics amazing, but this might be I think like the subtleties of it are what make it so freaking good. And this is the most interesting subtlety to me. What
yeah.
what what do you see when you look at that?
I see Varian Rin coming out of Anduin.
Oh yeah?
I see him becoming his father, where he's just like he's got this fury about him, and he doesn't want to hear from Thrall. He
Hmm.
doesn't want to hear anything about the world's problems. He's sulking about his own, and he can't get through what the jailer did to him. That's what I see when I
That's
see
what
that.
okay, let me get you another screen grab then, and you might see something a little different. Hold on now. Coming your way in a second. Take a look at that one.
Arthas. Oh,
How, how fucking
he's
cool is that?
Arthas.
How cool is
That
that?
is amazing.
It's the
I didn't
same
even make the
fucking
connection.
yeah, dude. Like that's so cool, dude. Like that is so fucking cool that they tied that together like that. And I have to say, man, like I know people didn't like Shadowlands or whatever, but like this stuff is only cool because what they did in Shadowlands. The jailer and
Yeah.
how Anduin worked and got, taken over or whatever, like that shit is fucking awesome, dude. It's so cool. I
Yeah,
love this.
100%.
I'm so sold on this, man. The way they're handling it.
It would be an interesting way to bring Arthas' spirit back, is if he was because we only saw that one little bit after the Anduin fight, right? And they're
Mhm.
like, "Oh, that's the last piece of Arthas." Well, what if it isn't? What if it's just the last piece that the jailer had, and most of Arthas is running around uh, the the Shadowlands are again words is running around in heck, and Sylvanas finds him. And he's like, I can feel another part of me. It's somewhere in Azeroth. And he comes back and talks to Anduin. They bring him
They
back
could
that
do
way.
anything. Yeah, they really could do anything. I don't necessarily see it, but they could do anything. A big part of something that I know from behind the scenes is that there was like a petition of people who work in the industry of video games and all the people who like boycotted Blizzard after the lawsuits. And one of the lead people on that list was the guy who voiced Arthas. So I had
Yeah,
always expected that to have caused problems for Shadowlands. Like I half expected them to want Arthas in the expansion, but then when the voice
I'm sure they
actor,
did.
pulled out like that so hard publicly that they probably had to scrap the character's involvement. So I would say that in terms of like narrative overarch, like it's probably that was their one chance for it and they just lost their opportunity. But you never know. Like I said, with going back to
Yeah.
Quell Loss, right? Like Quell Loss, that's a pretty Arthas heavy zone, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, he might
And,
show up somewhere.
and with what's his pickle that leaving at the end of the year, that might be enough to bring the Arthas voice actor back. You know?
Oh, Bobby Kotick. Maybe. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
That was,
You
oh,
know, because
yeah.
apparently he was one of the main bad actors that everybody wanted gone. Was Bobby
Everybody
Kotick.
hates that dude, yeah. What do you think about
Yeah.
the oh yeah, so they got the classic panel on. You still want to watch this?
Today, yeah.
Yeah, might as well, but
Today,
we can
I
talk
will be
over it
joined
too.
by three other of my
All right.
members of the classic team.
Yeah, I got it on right
Josh
now. So.
Greenfield, our senior producer. Nora Valera, my fellow lead software engineer. And Tim Jones, our team's lead designer. It is an honor for us to represent the Classic team and
Poor
talk
Tim
to you
Jones.
about so many of the things we're working on WoW Classic. So today, let's talk about the Classic journey so far, plus Cataclysm Classic, Hardcore, and our newer season, Season of Discovery.
Yeah, they mentioned hardcore having some new way to play. I don't know what that was a reference to.
Yeah, me either.
So,
But I think we're about to find out.
WoW Classic was announced at Blizzcon 6 years ago. And ever since that day, the team worked really hard to bring those precious memories of WoW to you and to me. The Classic journey officially started when you joined us in 2019 back in Azeroth creating a new character. Remembering the importance of having a good wand and being careful of how many mobs you pull at a time. We went through the journey of getting your first mount and feeling like you were riding the
Whatever
most
you do, don't
powerful
pull Son of
machine,
Arago, right,
making
Metro?
all those
Right,
level 10s
yeah.
jealous of your speed. Eventually, we hit 60 levels, and we went on to face some of the most iconic challenges, including the Fire Lord himself, Lord Ragnaros. We ran the Gong of Anchorage and saw new Scar Lords walking among us. We completed our journey at level 60 by adventuring into Naxxramas with 39 other of our friends. In 2021, the Dark Portal opened, and us brave heroes stepped forward into a new world to face the Burning Legion. In Outland, we learned to fly and see the world from a different perspective. And after killing many Talbot, we contested Illidan, and turns out, maybe we were prepared after all. Later on, we explored the coldest continent of Azeroth. We arrived to Nordrend via boat of Zeppelin, and we started hearing about the presence of the Lich King. We became masters of vehicles, and if you're like me, indeed press that red button. Yeah, Oops. All to prepare ourselves for the ultimate
I
combat and
always
defeat
press
the
the red
Lich
button.
King
Did you
on
really?
top of Ice Crown Citadel.
Yeah.
You know, as you heard earlier from our executive producer, Holly, our journey will continue into Cataclysm Classic in 2024. The Classic journey started with you as a love letter to the WoW community. We asked what you wanted, you responded to us, and we listened. And as we move onward, we look to bring new Classic experiences to life, Cata and beyond. We're driven by smart changes as informed by you. So
And
this
beyond.
is Cata for you.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's going
but
all the way, you can tell.
Before we talk about all the changes that we're bringing to Cataclysm Classic, let's talk about some of the features that will be returning as your journey to the new level cap to 85. So Goblins will be joining the Horde, Worgens will be joining the Alliance. Worgens, go! Cataclysm also unlocks a bigger combination of classes and races. For players that like to play as a Night Elf Mage, your time is now. Transmogs are coming back into Cataclysm. Start getting those ideas ready for your next Transmog contest. For the Explorers, there's also where archaeology makes its debut. And for our PvP fans, rated backgrounds are coming back. Yeah, love PvP. The world will be changed after Sharding of Deathwing. No giant swords just yet, but big changes to Azeroth nonetheless. Along with graphical improvements, literally thousands of new quests await you across different continents. And of course, you will also be able to unlock flying Azeroth. As the world changes, it comes with some of the most iconic dungeons and raids that you have ever experienced. All in all, this comes with 5 new zones, 10 new dungeons, and 7 new raids. And speaking of those raids, Cataclysm had a hugely varied opening tiers of raiding, including Bastion of Twilight, where after defeating our 2-headed mage Cho'Gall, a surprise appearance from Sinestra awaits. Later, we will venture into Firelands, soaring through rings of fire against Alice Razor, and seeing Ragnaros take his first baby steps. They grow up so quickly. This is just some of what we know, but what are we bringing new to Classic? What's new for Cataclysm Classic? We have seen a ton of positive feedback in the community around the new Titan Rune dungeon system in Grad, or as you might know it as Heroic Plus, allowing you new deterministic opportunities to gear up. So we're excited to bring the spirit of those forwards into Cataclysm for you to experience these new takes on Cataclysm dungeons. We will be making updates to the guild advancement system introducing Cataclysm. We want to ensure that guilds that are on the smaller side are not left behind. In past years, we heard from you about wanting to have collections UI in Classic. So we're happy to have introduced that in our final patch of Grad. And now Transmogs will live in it too, and they're gonna be account-wide. So get all those alts together and get all that gear. Classic gives us the opportunity to revisit the cadence at which we release content and patches. I think we all know when a patch has overstayed its welcome, which is why we're excited to announce that Cata Classic will be experienced at a faster rate, faster than the original. And with that, we're also making changes to the leveling speed for new characters to get to level 80. But these are just some of the changes that are coming to Cataclysm Classic. We also have other topics of discussion in the team. But as we said, WoW Classic started as a love letter to the community, and we continue to look to you and you to provide great feedback. So if you're here at Blizzcon, please swing by the Darkmoon Fair that is over there. There's a mailbox where you can submit any questions you have. And for those of you at home, talking to you, there's going to be open threads in all the WoW forums in every region. And we look forward for your thoughts about all things Classic. Thank you again for taking this journey with us as we venture forth into our mysterious future. Speaking of the amazing contributions from the community, let's talk about hardcore. Yeah, hardcore. Yeah.
Here we go.
So I have a question for people here. Who here has made it to level 16 hardcore? Yeah, that's very impressive. That's really, really impressive. But, okay, who here has died before level 16 hardcore? Yeah. Me too. You and I, my friends, that has happened. But in fact, you're not alone. Yeah. You have joined the graveyard alongside all these characters, including those unfortunate hunters. So here are updated stats from end of last month. And for Net's information of data here, I do not have a data table for this, but let's take a look at some reenactments of the 3 most common environmental deaths in hardcore. So who else was looting that final mob and forgot to take a look at their breath meter? Or maybe you were too busy typing in the chat in Ironforge and became one with the Great Forge. Or you misjudged the distance and gravity gave you a moral reminder. I've been there. Yeah, I mean, these are some dumb ways to die, you know, but on the opposite side, there are so much more heroic ways to die. And we have been super excited to see how players have engaged with our new feature, Duel to the Dead. Mokura. Yeah, we're very impressed by the community events and all the players that have been brave enough to participate in them. It takes a lot. But you know, as Holly mentioned earlier today, we have a new optional rule set coming to hardcore. So we are excited to officially announce that Self-Found will be coming to hardcore in early 2024. Yeah. Players that opt into this mode won't be able to trade, use the mail, or use the action house until you reach max level. We hope that you join us to take on this new challenge. So yeah, on behalf of the Classic team, thank you so much for joining us on the Classic journey so far. And we can't wait to see you back in Azeroth. So now, I know everybody wants to hear more about the Season of Discovery, so I'm gonna bring in, my senior producer, Josh Greenfield. Thank you.
Is that Self-Found enough of a change for you?
No, I don't give a shit about that kind of thing. That's already how I was playing it. Like, I don't group up.
Yeah.
Hardcore grouped up, that's not
Look
even
at this
hardcore.
crowd. Hello, BlizzCon. My name's Josh Greenfield, and I'm the senior game producer on WoW Classic. I'm here to talk to you today about our new season for a Classic World of Warcraft, Season of Discovery. Today, I'm going to give you an introduction and an overview of what our season is at a very high level, as well as giving you an idea of what our major features are. After this overview, I'm going to hand things off to a few other Classic team members to dig into some specifics about what I'm going to cover. So let's go ahead and jump in. So it seems fitting to start off talking about discoveries. It's in the name, after all, so it seems pretty important to the season. When you first start a character in Season of Discovery, it'll look and feel identical to original World of Warcraft. You'll slay kobolds, you'll give lazy peons a bonk, all the kind of normal things you do when starting fresh in World of Warcraft. When you get to around level 2, however, in the starter zone, your class trainer will offer you a new quest, and this is to go find your first rune. We'll talk about runes in a little bit more in a minute, but after that intro quest, the game simply tells you, go find more. And that's kind of where discoveries come in. Discoveries are essentially secrets hidden throughout the game.
Get those
world.
abilities.
They usually aren't quests in the traditional sense. There's nothing on your map to show them to you. This is Classic after all. And some may be as simple as a treasure coffer deep in a kobold mine, but many are small events kind of unto themselves, oftentimes requiring more than one player, a little bit of creativity, or some keen observation skills to obtain. One of the things we love about Azeroth is the sense of awe and wonder it inspires. It's a massive world. But due to the kind of solved nature of original WoW, it can sometimes feel a lot smaller than it did when we first started our adventures. Discoveries are a way to disrupt that a bit. Keep the world familiar, comfortable, but add enough new things to find to evoke that sense of adventure and exploration we first felt when we stepped foot in Azeroth. Beyond the next hill, deep in the next crypt or cave, something exciting could be hidden. One other thing we love about discoveries is this social and information sharing aspect. For those first few weeks of each phase, we hope to find secret finding communities pop up, both in and out of game, as players scour Azeroth to find all these little hidden things. We can't wait to read general chat as players begin sharing what they found with each other in real time. We think that social and info sharing aspect is super exciting, and we can't wait to see how long it takes for all these little secrets to be found. In order to preserve this sense of discovery, we will not be holding a public beta or PTR for Season of Discovery. Thank you, yeah.
Oh, we just lost Side to Classic.
We want day one of Season of Discovery to feel as fresh and full of surprises as we can. So we're taking a chance here to keep those first few weeks as exciting as possible. The last thing we'll say about discoveries now is that we wanted to craft them in a way that really felt at home in original WoW. Many times when playtesting amongst ourselves, we'd find a new NPC or an object, and someone would hesitate and say, like, is this from 2004? Is this new? And we're like, yeah, it's new. That's new to the season. And to us, that's a great success. The idea here is that these things feel as like a natural part of Azeroth as it was at this point in WoW's history. Next, let's talk a little bit about level-banded content phases and what that means. In essence, level-banded content phases are how we're going to approach the level-up journey in Season of Discovery. When we initially launch, the level cap in Season of Discovery will be level 25. After a number of weeks, the level cap will increase to a higher level for the next phase. So why a level cap of 25 to start with? Well, our inspiration for this actually came from the WoW Classic Beta in 2019. We saw how much fun the game was when the level was capped at a lower level, and how players would find new and exciting talent and item combinations to optimize around. And this is something we've always looked back fondly on, and it's something we've wanted to sort of explore ever since. We also realized how approachable an initial lower level cap could be. We talk a lot internally about approachability on WoW Classic and respecting players' time. There's a major goal of this level-banded approach to really give you a chance to get into it. One of the things we really consistently see on forums or social media too is it too late to start? And oftentimes we'll hear this literally within a day or two of a new release. And obviously, it's never too late to start playing Classic WoW. But as we've all grown into additional responsibilities and found ourselves spending maybe a little less time playing games than we used to, we can definitely feel that sense of kind of fear of missing out, or FOMO, when we log in after a long week and see our friends 10 or 20 levels ahead of us. And for that, this level-banded approach is perfect. There will be plenty to do in each new leveling journey, from the quests and dungeons and battlegrounds we all know and love, to finding all the brand new things to discover across Azeroth. And then later on, leveling new alts to find all of their hidden discoveries as well. There's lots to do, but we're hoping that you won't ever feel that sense of being behind just because you couldn't play on a given day. We also plan to give a very sizable experience boost to the previous level band every time we raise the level cap. This is kind of similar to Joyous Journeys and Wrath Classic, if you're familiar with that. So even if you miss a phase or once a level in alt, you'll be able to catch up to your friends in no time. So the next thing we want to talk about is in-game at level cap. So when we kind of decided on this level-banded content approach, we had to kind of sit down and ask ourselves, what is in-game when the level cap is 25? And first, I think it makes sense to talk a little bit about our inspiration. And this is something we really keep coming back to a lot on Classic. Since this is a version of original WoW, we wanted to start out grounded in familiar locations and put the focus for the new stuff on fresh gameplay and mechanics in those iconic dungeons and locales. To that end, our first raid in Season of Discovery will be the iconic dungeon, Blackfathom Deeps, reimagined as a 10-player raid instance. Thank you. Next, one of our main goals is to ensure that these are fully featured, deep, satisfying raids, and not simply the addition of a few mechanics to existing encounters as they were in 2004. All of these encounters are a full ground-up redesign and should feel like proper raid encounters. And of course, with new raids comes lots of new loot. In addition to raids, we also really want to play up that PvP aspect. And as a result, we're planning to add several outdoor PvP events to the game as the level caps increase. Thank you. Lastly, one of the things we're most excited about is where we go when we start getting to higher levels. We are leaving the door open to the possibility of completely new experiences and the prospects of exploring previously unfinished or unused locales for future raid and dungeon content. We're sorry, getting a level 60. I know, I'm excited too.
That's what people wanted.
That's a shame, but what people wanted, like you say.
We think that level 25 is going to be full of great, memorable gameplay that feels right at home in original WoW, but this is just the first step, and we think the best is yet to come. So next, let's kind of change gears and talk about rune engraving a little bit. So this is one of the most exciting new things about Season of Discovery. One of the most consistent pieces of feedback we've gotten from previous iterations of original WoW, such as our Season of Mastery, is that many players would like to try some adjustments to their favorite class or spec. We really wanted to take a chance with Season of Discovery and go kind of wild here, and we did. That's where rune engraving comes in. Rune engraving is a new skill that all Season of Discovery characters know automatically on character creation. Rune engraving allows you to gather, learn, and apply new class abilities directly to your equipment, kind of like enchants. In the initial 1 through 25 experience, you'll be able to discover runes in your chest, legs, and glove slots, and as the level cap increases, additional runes for other item slots will be discoverable over time. Once learned, runes are permanent and can be applied and reapplied to your gear at will, just out of combat. One of the most exciting things about these runes is that they exist completely outside of the talent system, meaning that you could very realistically splash in damage abilities with a healing talent spec so you could solo a little bit better, or you could swap maybe to tanking ability runes to round out the tank spot in your 5-player group if you're missing one. You may also encounter previously faction-specific paladin and shaman buffs as runes, which helps bring some parity to each faction without those classes losing their unique flavor or the factions losing their unique flavor. In order to also streamline the talent system to go along with runes, we do plan to adjust the respec cost to be much more nominal in Season of Discovery, particularly at low levels. And that's not all. That's not all. Who knows, maybe, just maybe, someday, you won't be constrained to just one talent spec in Season of Discovery. Who knows? So, overall, we've been playing this a ton internally. We've been having so much fun with it. It's everything we love about Classic, plus so much more.
Funny.
At this, I'd like to hand this over to one of our lead software engineers, Nora Valletta, to talk about some specific abilities you may encounter on the different classes, as well as to talk a bit about our PvP plans for Season of Discovery. Take it away, Nora.
It's kind of like that Ascension server, but toned down.
Apparently. We'll talk about that after we're done here.
For sure.
Thanks, Josh. Hey, Blizzcon. My name's Nora Valletta, and along with Anna, I'm a lead software engineer on WoW Classic. Very
unique outfit.
Yeah.
There are over 100 runes in the 1 to 25 leveling bracket across all classes, and we'd love for you guys to go forth and discover them on your own. However, to give you an idea of what to expect, I have a few to share with you today. First things first, I want to share some of the things we had in mind when designing runes in Season of Discovery. One is to shake up the meta. Our seasonal content is a great opportunity to deliver WoW Classic, but with a twist. With our non-seasonal content, we try to deliver a classic experience close to the original, but with seasons, we have the freedom to experiment with what-if scenarios, such as, what if rogues could tank? What if paladins did have a taunt? On that point, we wanted to introduce abilities such that each class has something special, something that other classes can point to and go, dang, that's so cool, I wish I could do that. Many of the runes you find are greatest hits remixes of popular abilities from various WoW expansions, so many of them will be familiar to you. That said, some of these familiar abilities may actually behave a little differently than you remember. Some spells and abilities you'll discover have never been introduced before in any WoW expansion. For these, we were careful to make sure they were an appropriate fit for class fantasy. Most importantly, we want Classic to continue to feel like Classic. Many of the iconic spells and abilities you've seen in various WoW expansions feel fitting for that expansion or fitting for modern WoW, but would feel out of place in Classic, so we tried to avoid introducing anything with a too modern feel and made adjustments wherever it made sense. Anyways, enough of that. Let's take a sneak peek at some of those abilities. Druids. In Season of Discovery, you have an interrupt called Skull Bash, which can be used in cat or bear form. Fury of Storm Rage removes the mana cost of Wrath. Dealing damage with Wrath has a chance to make your next healing touch instant. Wild Growth applies a heal over time effect to your target and up to 5 nearby party members.
Oh, well.
Hello, Hunters. Beast Mastery will increase your pet's damage, health, and focus regen. Growl is now a proper taunt. Explosive Shot is a ranged damage over time ability, and Lone Wolf gives you a damage boost if you have no active pet. Pair this with dual wielding, and you've got yourself a mean melee hunter. Mages. Ice Lance is an instant frost spell that deals triple damage to frozen targets. Living Flame causes flames to erupt and chase a nearby enemy, leaving a burning trail in its wake. And Regeneration is a heal, which marks your target with a temporal beacon. Another rune ability called Rewind Time will heal the damage taken over the previous 5 seconds. You can heal other people with this, by the way, not just yourself, so I hope you've made room on your roster for mage healers. Paladins. In WoW Classic, they don't have a taunt, but here it is in Season of Discovery. Hand of Reckoning is your taunt. Knowing this ability will also increase the threat bonus of Righteous Fury and cause you to gain mana when healed by other players. Crusader Strike is a weapon attack. It's a weapon attack which costs no additional mana and instead regenerates your mana slightly with each hit. And Seal of Martyrdom can be activated to cause melee attacks to strike other nearby targets. You'll lose health when inflicting damage with this. However, nearby party members will gain mana based on the damage you take. Priests. You can channel Penance to heal nearby friendly targets or deal damage to enemy targets. Prayer of Mending heals your target the next time they take damage or receive healing. Afterwards, it'll bounce to another friendly player nearby. Homunculi animates 3 miniature copies of your character, which will attack your target with a mace, a sword, and an axe, reducing their attack speed, attack power, and armor, respectively. Rogues. From Stealth, Shadow Strike allows you to teleport behind your target and strike for a nice big chunk of damage. Envenom is a finishing move. It deals poison damage based on your deadly poison doses on the target, and also increases the frequency of applying instant poison for some time afterwards. Just a Flesh Wound is our rogue tank ability. You generate way more threat, you take reduced physical damage while Blade Dance is active, you're less likely to be critically hit by melee attacks, and your Feint ability turns into a taunt called Tease.
Wow.
Shamans. Lava Lash deals offhand weapon damage. Offhand. In Season of Discovery, Enhancement Shamans can dual wield with the help of another rune not pictured here. Happy hunting. Healing Rain is a gradual AoE heal which can be placed on the ground, or on a lamppost, or on the ceiling. Way of Earth allows you to perform the coveted role of Shaman Tank.
There you are. Beer heart. Finally. There you go.
With this, you'll deal increased threat, you'll take less damage, and Earth Shock becomes your taunt. Warlocks. Haunt deals damage, increases all shadow damage you deal to the target, and heals you for the damage it dealt once it's dispelled or expires. Chaos Bolt sends a big beefy bolt of fire at the enemy. It always hits, it can't be resisted, and it causes all of your fire spells to pierce through absorption effects. And Metamorphosis. This is
There
your
you go.
shapeshift, allowing you to transform
yeah.
into a demon, similar to a druid's bear form, increasing your armor and reducing your chance to be critically hit. Searing Pain becomes instant, Shadow Bolt becomes a melee cleave, and Curse of Recklessness is your taunt. Warriors. Victory Rush is a weapon attack that can be used after killing an enemy. It will heal you for a certain percentage of your health. Devastate will cause your Sunder armor to deal main hand weapon damage, increased for each stack of Sunder armor already on the target.
Oh, wow.
And Raging Blow is a vicious strike that deals heavy damage, but can only be used while enraged. Now, this is just a taste of all the abilities coming to classes in Season of Discovery. And really, bottom line, we want everyone to feel OP.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I like it.
Anyways, enough about runes. Let's instead turn our attention to the ancient forest of Ashenvale in northern Kalimdor. Ashenvale is known for its beauty, its rich natural resources, and its role as a hotly contested territory between the Horde and the Alliance. In Season of Discovery, earning kills while in Ashenvale will trigger a zone-wide PvP event. During this event, a leader will appear in the zone for each faction, a Farseer for the Horde, and a Priestess of the Moon for the Alliance. Your objective is simple. It's to defeat the enemy leader. Now, this is easier said than done. These leaders are tough, so you'll have to work together to take them out. In addition to the main camps where those faction leaders reside, various other camps will spawn across the zone for each faction. The Priestess of the Moon and the Farseer are each buffed by respective leaders in those smaller camps. The more of those small camps you can take out, the weaker your enemy's faction leader will become. Sounds familiar. It's much like Alterac Valley.
It's like that one battleground.
This event is an awesome way to earn honor, as well as reputation with Warsong Gulch factions, which allows you to unlock some of the best level 25 gear in the game. You'll also be able to earn a mount, which you can actually use at level 25, but only in Ashenvale. It will increase your speed by 50%, giving you the extra boost you need to seek and destroy the enemy. So, come kick some ash in Ashenvale. I'll see you there. Anyways, I've done enough talking. It's time for me to pass things off to Tim, who's going to talk to you about raids and the PvE endgame. Take it away, Tim.
Thank you, Nora. Hey, Blizzcon! My name is Tim Jones, and I'm the assistant lead designer on World of Warcraft Classic. Woo! Multiplayer content is the heart of World of Warcraft. Whether we're questing together, running a dungeon, crafting an item for a friend, or chatting in guild about where to find that new metamorphosis rune for Warlock, WoW offers one of the richest multiplayer experiences across all of gaming. And Season of Discovery aims to deliver on providing new group content that's both challenging and rewarding. Now first, I want everyone to take a moment with me and imagine, alongside the Zorm Strand on Ashenvale's north coast lies the ruins of an ancient elven temple to the goddess Elune. Evil stirs within, drawing the likes of the Naga and the Twilight's Hammer in search of power and anything that could hasten the coming of the old gods. Maybe you've been here before, maybe not. No matter your familiarity with this place, it's hard not to be drawn in by the mystique, the rich art, the level design, as well as the robust creature and spell ecology of Black Fathom Deeps. On the Classic team, we couldn't help but ask ourselves, could this amazing location be more than just a 5-player dungeon? So we're excited. Get your level 25 Prebis, equip your runes, find 9 of your best friends, and get ready. The Classic team is proud to announce Level Up Raids. New instance challenges for raid groups to experience the max level for each of Season of Discovery's content bands. Woo!
So the raid
At level
levels up
25,
along
Black
with the
Fathom
season.
Deeps is the first
Does it?
level up raid that you'll experience in Season
what
of
he's saying.
Discovery. Groups should be easy to form. Grab a couple tanks and healers, make a party of 10, you're good to go. God knows, everyone and their mom can tank and heal in Season of Discovery now, so that shouldn't be a problem. And content phases in Season of Discovery won't be as long as traditional classic expansion patches either. And we want you to have as many opportunities to explore and plunder the riches within, and as such, Black Fathom will offer a 3-day lockout, much like the raid Zul'Gurub. The story's the same, the location and creatures may be familiar to some, but the challenges and rewards are brand new. 7 new bosses are here to both entertain and test your skills. And how could we not make raid content without new loot? Existing quests and rewards have also been updated for the raid as well. And you'll even be able to find secrets within the raid. Can you solve the mystery of the Twilight Artisan? Can you find the recipes for the Black Fathom sharpening stones and wizard oil? And will you be the first group to access the new world buff, Boon of Black Fathom? Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. I love your guys' enthusiasm. This is amazing. Let's peek behind the curtain at what challenges await players in Black Fathom, or as we affectionately call it, BFD, not to be confused with BRD or BFA or BWL or BWD. You guys get the idea. Baron Aquinas, he guards the entrance. No longer a simple quest NPC. You must challenge his elemental lieutenants that inhabit the Fathom Stones and defeat him. And in doing so, you may face off against Aquinas himself atop the infamous jumping puzzle. And jump you must to get in range of the Baron, but beware of both the boss and your teammates, because there are many a peril that may knock you off. In all honesty, this boss is lightly tuned, and there are some hidden power-ups below the water to help you return to the platform. Next off, you must face against Gamura, the fearsome turtle that's been swimming in the enchanted waters of the deeps for a long, long time. Exposure to these energies has granted her both power and size, but most importantly, she's now protected by a magical barrier that protects her against almost any attack. Break through this barrier and start blasting for massive damage. Get your orange parse. All this commotion will bring you to the attention of Lady Saraves, a powerful and reckless Naga sea witch who commands a legion of Black Fathom elite in Myrmidons. She is a formidable foe that will overwhelm you unless you find a way to turn her own spells against her and her minions. These 3 bosses round out the prologue of Black Fathom Deeps, and all 3 are available to fight in our demo in Hall D. Check it out. And that's not it. Witness the corruption of Gelihast and take on the march of the Void Murlocs. Break past Lorgus Jet's magical barriers and corrupted totems. Conquer your dreams as you challenge Twilight Lord Kelris. And good luck against the giant Void Hydra. Seriously, you're going to need it. And not to forget, there will be glittering prizes awaiting you, including some of these fancy items. Now, telling you all this is great, but I think we'd rather just show you. So it is my pleasure to provide a quick sneak peek video of the raid, edited by the team itself, as though it was pulled straight from a community website in 2005. Please take a look. Well, that's it for today, guys. We're looking forward to. Oh, okay. That shouldn't be here. Okay. That should definitely. Okay. Sorry. We should have. Okay.
That Karazhan.
There you go. And the basement of Karazhan too. It looks
Yep.
like.
That's it for today. On behalf of the Classic team, and as Anna mentioned at the top, nothing that we do in WoW Classic would be possible without all of your support and your voice. Thank you so much for making the dream of WoW Classic and all the experiences we're working on a reality. We can't wait to see what else we have in store for the future. We can't wait for you to see. So please stay tuned for Hearthstone, what's next, coming up right after this. And we hope you have enjoyed this look ahead at what's next for WoW Classic. I want to reiterate, this is just a taste of all that you're going to uncover in Season of Discovery. And for those of you here at Blizzcon, we hope you get to take on the first 3 bosses of our Black Fathom Deeps raid on the show floor. And for everyone else, we're so excited for you to experience it when Season of Discovery launches worldwide in just a few short weeks on November 30th. Thank you, everyone.
Is that Diox?
Interesting.
Bro, what's up, man? Fucking Diox is here. What's up, man?
Hey,
So,
Diox.
yeah.
I know we've never met, but hello.
Yeah, no, yeah. So what do you thought? You know what, dude, like after watching that, I'm like, man, I really wish it wasn't coming out so soon. Because
Yeah.
it's pretty
Yeah.
cool actually. I kind of like I have to say the thing that really changed my opinion on it was that they're adding like discovery like quests to get these items or these runes or whatever. That's fucking cool. That's really cool.
I totally agree. I think
Yeah.
it's something I'll probably look into once the level cap goes up a little bit, and I can do
Yeah.
that when there's a kind of a content drought.
Right. Yeah,
So,
yeah. That's a good. Yeah, just this will be great like 7 months from now when Dragonflight's pretty much
Yeah.
over, right?
Yeah, we get up to level 45.
yeah,
together,
like-
we'll
Even Diox just said
Challenge
like they
Eltharion
just
and-
launched Lich King on Wrath, right? Like it's like this they're really cram. I don't know, like the whole 2 different classics at once. And then like hardcore, right? Like people are
Yeah.
really excited about hardcore still. Like I don't think people want to move on from that, but I guess a lot of people might, you know.
yeah.
Basically
I'm still
3
hopeful.
different. Good.
I'm still hopeful that they're going to come out with PBC and Wrath servers at some point.
Yeah, I
know,
would definitely
so that-
like there to just be TBC servers permanently because I feel like I missed that.
Me too, 100%.
Yeah, well, that's cool though. I'm really interested in seeing. Unfortunately, I don't know if like this was intentional or what, but like most of the spells they showed were just spells from Wrath and TBC, which I guess kind of says that they didn't have that many interesting ideas. There was some crazy ass ideas too, but it was like, wow, you're showing spells that are already in the game and they're not even that interesting. But yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
cool.
I think what they were doing is showing the not so interesting ones so that people can discover the really amazing ones.
That could
you
be
know?
it, yeah. The problem is it seems like you're only able to have a few. The other thing that I was surprised by was it has to actually go on your gear, but it sounds like it's just like free, like you don't have to
Yeah.
do anything to put it on your gear.
Yeah, you can put it on your next piece of gear once you get a piece of gear that's better.
Yeah,
It seemed like there was no cost to that either. So
right. And so the funny part that people have continuing to I just keep seeing comments about over and over again about is this like apparently like almost directly taken from that private server Project Ascension. Have you heard
yeah,
this?
I've heard of it. I haven't played on it. I think I set it up once when I was on vacation visiting my mother because she has a crap computer, as you know. But I never actually went in and did anything with it. So I'm gonna be interested to see what
Yeah.
this is like.
Yeah, stuff like that has never interested me. I played like all variety of private servers and versions of Classic, but like that's not Classic to me. And that was my initial
Yeah.
impression of this too. I'm like, that's just not Classic. Like the thing I love about Classic is that kind of almost mystery feel to it from years and years ago where I didn't know what it was. And like the content there is so different. It's like stuff that is just not available in the modern game that they yin and yang so well. But that initially, my thought was that it seemed like they were basically just turning Classic into a whole different product. Now that I've watched that panel, it's a little bit like I have a little bit more of a revisionist viewpoint on it, that they're actually, a little bit more aware of what they want and that they're trying to make it a little bit more authentic. But yeah, like somebody posted in my chat, like, that it's 2 months in, everybody's just going to be like, blitzing through those quests with Wowhead open, like nobody's going to care to discover it. But at least they're trying. Unfortunately for me, the Classic community is just not comprised of people that I want to spend time with. That's probably the bigger issue.
Sure.
Hopefully this may help that. But yeah, I just, it's really shocking. I wonder if people just like didn't know this was coming, because like that, like hardcore tournament thing, you see that going on. It's like really big prize pool and stuff. It's like, yeah, what happens to hardcore? There's now 4 products effectively, right? There's hardcore, Classic era, Wrath, Intikata, and then now Season of, what's it called? Season of Discovery. So
Season of Discovery, yeah. I don't know.
yeah, Doc says he
I
thinks.
do know I got the. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll just say that Diak says that he feels like this will be a beta test for a more proper Classic Plus, and I think like it's already Classic. Like they showed Karazhan, they showed Scarlet Monastery, which is something that a lot of people have been saying that they should do a Scarlet Monastery raid. So I think it's already happening. It's just we only get a quarter of the product right now, and that they probably are doing that. I don't know why they're in a rush to do it, but they're probably just doing that, frankly, because they're not ready to release everything. I don't know. What do you think about 3 months per cycle or whatever?
I like it if the dungeons or the raids level up, because I don't see why they wouldn't, and then call them level up raids. You know what I mean?
They just mean you could do the raid while leveling up, is what that means.
I took it a different way, but you're probably right.
Yeah, because there's currently no raids that can be done prior to 60 in Classic, right? So they just mean like raids that can be done while leveling up.
Oh, I don't know. Molten Core was cleared with 56s and 57s in the raid.
Okay, well, all right. You're right about that, but
but no, I get what you're saying. For sure.
But yeah, I just don't think that has much of a future. And honestly, like they're showing the bosses, and it's like, wait, are these new? Like, what? These are the same guys that are already in the raid. I don't. Did you see something there that was new? I guess I don't know the 5-man very well.
No, but the end boss had a void form. I don't think that's in there right now.
Big announcement there, the void form.
I think what they were saying is they're just like with Wrath, they're gonna put new affixes in and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you can find some of your stuff in the raid, some of your rune stuff. So there's definitely new abilities. And he said these aren't the same guys he fought, right?
Yeah, they're different fights, obviously. I do like, one of my favorite things about Classic is getting those books. Like, have you ever experienced that? Like, there's books that drop that give you a higher rank of the spells you already have. I always love that. Yeah. It's like it's in like AQ and upper block rex, and I always love that. Like, that is one of my favorite things ever. And if they actually do that, like the raid is going to drop like actual abilities. Because like I was thinking about this, if the raid. Originally, I was thinking like the primary source of these is going to come from group content. And so imagine like, okay, well, you're a rep pally now, but after you clear this raid, you can be, an actual tank, something like that. Like, I think that's cool, but it makes me wonder like how long it takes to get the character to be the build that you want to be. Because that's always been a problem for me in Classic and in Live WoW too, to be fair to some degree. But like if I wanted to play a Blood DK, well, it's a Blood DK at level 10. That's not a Blood. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't really get the spells that you want until you're like into almost close to 70, So if the thing is like, are these spells that you're getting with these runes, like how are they going to keep introducing new ones that are equally interesting as the ones they have now, and then continue to have the previous ones still be acquired like in an interesting way? So I don't know. There's a lot of questions here. The long term of it doesn't strike me as something that's going to work very well, but it's certainly out of nowhere. Like another one that nobody would have predicted. I don't think anybody would have predicted not only this, but this 2 weeks from now, right? Three weeks from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm optimistic for it. I like that they're thinking outside the box. It's just, unfortunately for me, it's terrible timing. But yeah, maybe I'll check it out. Maybe put off the leveling challenges for a bit, and I'll just hop on there and level or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Oh,
I completely agree. That's where I'm at too.
yeah. Okay, so here's a question for you. What the
Okay.
hell are they going to do about the difficulty of the game? What are your
You
thoughts?
mean in classic?
Yeah,
Eh,
because it's already a joke, right? Like Classic is so fucking
Yeah,
easy as it is, and now you're adding all these super overpowered spells to the game at level 35 or whatever it is. 25? 25. It's like, what?
25.
What are you just going to be soloing the 5-mans now? Like, what is Wrath, or what is a Classic Paladin going to look like with some of these spells that are from Wrath and stuff? It's like, well, they're going to be destroying the content, no? Because like
Yeah,
Paladin was
I
already
think so,
good.
but
Like, I don't know.
I, I think that's why they're adding new abilities and new stuff that to every encounter is so that it ups the hardness of the raid/dungeon. So that's where you get your increase of difficulty is with this stuff that nobody's ever seen before. Mind you, that's not very evergreen, but it will keep people interested for a couple of months.
Well, you're talking about the raid exclusively right now.
No, the raid exclusively right now, I would assume they do the same thing with dungeons if there's any dungeons you can do while leveling.
Oh, you think they're going to change the dungeons too?
Yeah, I would assume
Well,
so.
if they did
It
that,
apparently
then
worked well in Wrath.
if they did that, that would certainly help. But even like questing content, like, I don't know, dude, there's something about Classic where like it's kind of interesting that every mob that you fight might be dangerous to you. You can't like big AoE pull, you can't do massive healing to yourself. Like a mage having healing, I kind of almost agree with Alex. It's like that's just not what a mage is. They're already fucking overpowered, dude. They can't really get much more overpowered and it be balanced. So yeah, like I like the dude on the stage is like, well, everybody's going to be overpowered now. And I get why he's saying that, but like Fury Warrior was not really overpowered until you're like geared in level 60. Like it's just another
Yeah.
character up until that point. So if everybody was overpowered while they're level 25, what the hell is leveling going to look like? Is it going to take like 5 hours to get to 25? I just don't know what the scope of the, like, is it no longer about leveling? Is Classic now just about endgame all of a sudden? I don't know.
It seems like they want it to be not necessarily about leveling or endgame, and they want it to be about exploring.
Yeah,
To
well,
find the
yeah,
stuff that's
it's
going
a
to
good
make you
point.
overpowered.
It's a good point. Yeah,
So,
literally the name of it. Yeah, I guess
but
so. Oh man, I kind of want to like this. I kind of really do want to like this, but
yeah, me too.
yeah.
I wonder if they'll do a season of discovery on the hardcore realms.
Well, so this is the thing that's kind of unfortunate about hardcore. It's like hardcore is basically just a leveling challenge. Like they didn't need realms
Yeah.
for it. People are just like freaking
Yeah.
degenerates and they started like cheating at their own leveling challenge. But like, yeah, you can easily just go on here and do hardcore, right? Like it's probably 10 times
Yeah.
more fun than it would be on the actual original classic. Because like the original classic, I hate this, it just was not made for dying, like being your death and that's it.
Yeah.
Like that's just not what classic ever was. But this, like, if this is actually meant to be more fast paced and you have more spells and more abilities to tackle things, now that is where hardcore could be interesting because now all of a sudden it's not like, oh my God, my mob resisted 3 spells in a row. I just lost a 1v1. Like now it's like, okay, I need to really play well and, if things are tuned properly. But like, if you just straight up get these spells and they don't make any numerical changes to the mobs you're fighting, then you're just going to be like, because like one thing, I don't know how many people realize this, but I recently messed with this when I was doing these leveling challenges on Live WoW. I constantly read these posts about how much like harder leveling is in Classic compared to Live WoW, right? But I've been doing these nomad
Yeah.
leveling challenges with limited gear and the one talent point only concepts, and the characters are pretty weak at times, to the point where
Yeah.
it's taking me almost like 30 seconds to a minute to kill some mobs. So I went on Classic with equal levels of gear, nomad only, no actual quest gear, and it's still faster to kill mobs in Classic than it is in these leveling challenges I'm
Yeah.
doing on Live WoW. So that was just like a small aside to say that like you actually kill mobs very quick in Classic. It's not that the combat is long. It's just that you don't have any skills to use if things go wrong. So if all of a sudden you have the skills to use when things go wrong and then the combat's already fast, well, where's the leveling challenge? Like I don't know. I don't know if they even
Yeah.
want that though at this point. So
Yeah, I tend to agree. We're gonna, I guess we'll just look and see what more info we get as we get it. It's about all I can think.
Yeah, nothing really else to say. Pretty cool though, Shaman Way of Earth. When Rockbiter is active on your main hand weapon, you deal 100% increased threat, gain 30% increased health, take 10% reduced damage, gain 6% reduced chance to be critically hit by melee attacks, and Earth Shock taunts targets to attack you, and has a separate cooldown from other shocks, but has its range reduced to melee range. Like, that's a lot of shit for one spell, but man, is that a really cool idea. I wish that was.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying, dude. We might see something like that in the new talent system in Live WoW too, man.
That's huge. Plus, you're gonna be able to dual wield as a shaman.
Yeah, that I definitely don't want to see that, but I like two-handed hands, man. I really do.
Yeah. I just like that animation where you bang your two weapons together and it destroys the enemy.
Well, after playing the Enhancement Shaman online, I was just talking about that this morning when I was recording that. Like, Enhancement Shaman in Live WoW blows Shaman out of the water in Classic. Like, Classic Shaman is a fucking snooze fest compared to Enhanced Shaman in Dragonflight. So at least that is one thing to say about dual wield. It makes it a lot more fast paced, but it just kind of
Sure.
compromises what it is in my eyes.
It'll be interesting to see where it goes, for sure.
Anything that you
I
might
don't know
want to
what else I
see?
have to say.
But is there anything you might want to see from that project? Like if we're on the fence about it, what would be things that you'd really want to see to win you over?
I want to see what those runes are that give you abilities that were restricted to factions before, right? So I want to be
Oh yeah.
a human paladin with blood, whatever it's called,
Oh yeah, heroism, right? That'd be cool.
bloodlust, or the what's that one that blood elves was their racial in TBC?
Oh, Seal
They
of
could add
Blood.
that. There you go. They could add that to as a rune that you could get.
Yeah, I guess the sky's the limit. They could do some really fun things.
Yeah. They can do anything they like. I mean, it's not current content, so if they do decide to go way off to Narnia, it's fine. Doesn't affect what we're doing here.
Yeah. I really kind of want to play a Paladin and just see what they get. Like, just log on and just see what they get. Because Paladin's
Yeah,
always
for sure,
been
for
such like
sure.
a flavor. And like you said, if they get a Bloodlust type spell or something, that's, man. There's something like very
It'd be huge.
intriguing about Paladin in the early days. And if they just really accentuate that even further, I'm going to really like it.
Yeah, you're gonna have a taunt. You're gonna be able to actually tank instances without people giving you grief.
Ah,
So
yeah, that's funny. Here's what Hand of Reckoning says. Taunts the target to attack you, but has no effect if the target is already attacking you. While you know this ability, the threat bonus from Righteous Fury is increased to 80%, and Righteous Fury causes you to gain mana when healed by others equal to 25% of the amount healed. Additionally, while Righteous Fury is active, damage, which takes you below 35% health, is reduced by 20%. Righteous Fury will remain active until canceled. And that's pretty much just 3 TBC talents, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, sounds like it to me.
And then also Hand of Reckoning is also so 4 TBC things that get added in one spell to Paladin.
That's going to be huge.
But Diak said they also get
We might
Rebuke, which is, that's unique. They don't have an interrupt in Classic, so.
interrupt. Yep. We might have to bring the Pally Pals back just to play with stuff.
Yeah, I just wish there was better timing on this. Like, that's the biggest issue for me.
Yeah.
There's
For
just
sure,
like
for sure.
no way. I mean, unless I don't really see. Unless there's just like literally nothing for me to do outside of Mythic Plus. I don't see me spending a lot of time on here, but maybe.
Yep. Like you said, in 7 months, it'll still be there.
Yeah, that's
So-
it. That's it. A couple months after the season's, kind of like where I was at maybe 2 months ago when that point of the season comes out, a good like probably like 20 weeks into the season, and it's like, all right, I'm pretty much set. Then yeah, let's see what's up. Because then by then we'll be what did they say? 3 months. So yeah, probably like after that first 3-month period, I'll give it another hard look because then by that point we'll be deep
Yeah.
into the season. Like that'll be the season will be halfway or maybe even almost over by that point.
Yeah, we never know. It's going to be good to see for
Yeah.
sure. But I don't know. I don't know what else to say. We've gone over pretty much everything, brother.
They're definitely splitting their player base and catering to each separately. It does feel that way. It feels like they're trying to like really carve out like every single type of WoW player, basically. You know, there's something now there for everybody. And I just don't know if the game's wide enough for that. Like, do you think there's because there's really 4 products now for Classic, right? 4 products. That's a lot of products. Like you can't play them all equally.
No, but depending on how many people come back for the next expansion, that might widen the player base enough that it's just not a problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, this is the
And it might
Renaissance,
get,
man. WoW's got a lot of eyes on it now, I feel like.
and that classic gives people something to do while they're waiting for the next expansion as well. Right? Like if they're not interested in Dragonflight, which means they're insane, but it gives them something to do while they're waiting for the War Within.
Possibly. The question though is like how long does it last too? Because that was a big
Yeah.
issue with Season of Mastery. Like Season of Mastery was just there and then gone, right? Like I don't really like how they handled it.
Well, let's hope they learn from it.
Well, this has to become its own client, no? Because like in Season of Mastery, the characters just got ported back over to Classic era, but there's no way this can do that. Like you can't take Explosive Shot into Classic, right? Like so it's just not gonna work.
Yeah.
I don't know. More specifically,
I'm just
what do you
excited
think?
to explore.
Yeah, it sounded that dude that swung me. Like before that, I was like, okay, I won't be touching this. But then when it's like, oh, explore. Well, I could see that because I'm not going to be keeping up with these. Like I'm not going to be reading Wowhead posts on this shit. You know what I mean? So no matter when I touch it, it's going to be new to me. But so what do you? But so I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts on this. What do you think about this whole Project Ascension? Like the idea that they're pretty much copying that exactly. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it pretty much shuts down Ascension. If you can do it on a Warcraft client, then the only people who are going to Ascension is people who just are too stubborn to pay for Warcraft. You know what I mean? So it's a way of dealing with people on these pirated clients and bringing them back to the main game. That's how I see it anyway. I mean, that was one of the main drivers I thought they had for the original Classic being launched, is to bring people back that were out on all those Classic servers. So
yeah, and I don't know I've never looked at that server once at all. Like I don't know a single thing about it, but people constantly tell me about it over the last few years. And apparently there's Mythic Plus, like straight up like actual Mythic Plus with levels and affixes and dungeons like of all different sort. Like even like not like I don't apparently there's mop dungeons. I don't really understand what that project is, but anyway, what I have heard that it's like very dynamic. Like it's like not like you're not a mage really at all. That's what I've heard. So this isn't that, I don't think, but yeah, it's hard to deny the potential influence. I think the question there is like maybe like the morality of it, like how like some of the comments that I've read while we were watching that was like I can't believe that there's like full-time Blizzard employees standing up here pretending they're taking credit for this when it's like clearly lifted from Project Ascension and do you have any opinions on that idea?
I mean, that's just people looking for something to complain about. You know what I mean? Like, it's Blizzard seeing something that people are enjoying and saying, okay, what if we offered that? You could come enjoy it with us. You know, it's our product in the first place anyway. So why don't you come back? And I think if you're going after, oh, they're just stealing and this, that, and the other, just go away now.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that statement because it's the symbiosis of stealing. Like Project Ascension just stole from WoW, and yeah, they were very creative, I guess, and they made some really, really cool stuff. But like Gillis says, Ascension made a ton of money off that server, so frankly, they should be grateful. I think you said earlier, like they owe Blizzard this because they got fucking paid from this. You know, that was clearly not their IP, even though they did iterate on it to a degree that was very unique. yeah, it's them who started the stealing, you know? So I do agree. And I don't have much sympathy for anybody, but it's almost like I'd be interested in like just joining the Project Ascension, like Discord or forums or something, and just seeing what people are saying there. Like, do the
Yeah.
people who actually play that like regularly care about this? I don't know how true like those, I don't know if there's much crossover there.
I don't think they would because they don't
Yeah.
care because to them it's a unique product, right? In a world that they know. So yeah, I don't think they
And the
care.
other interesting thing about it is, well, there's a couple things that come to mind immediately. Like, so yeah, the fact that they closed down like Nostarius and those classic servers that were 1x, but they didn't close down Ascension and those types of servers tells me that maybe there was some kind of weird gray area there legally, and they didn't have the teeth for it. And now that they're doing this, maybe they either have the teeth for it, or a second thing comes to mind. Maybe they've already met with Project Ascension. Like again, I don't follow the
Could be.
scene. Maybe I'm completely off on this, and the people who run this are like having a fit right now. But like, you know, Blizzard worked with Nostarius. They stole that
Yep.
private server. Like you say, they steal Ascension, but they stole Nostarius, dude. Like the whole idea for
Yeah.
hardcore, for classic in general, was Nostarius. They met with these dudes. They flew them out from fucking France to meet with them, and it was only because these guys told them how they approached it, how they developed it, and how many actual numerical, you know, accounts were made and how many people were interested in this project. That's the only reason we have Classic in the first place. So that's already technically, you know, Nostarius stole it from Blizzard and then Blizzard stole it back. And that's the same thing here. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that continue.
Yeah. I mean, with the merger with Microsoft, they have the teeth for whatever the hell they want. I just don't think they're gonna care enough to do it. You know,
Yeah, I don't know how that part
like
happens at all, really.
Microsoft's legal team is ferocious, to say the least, from what I've seen.
Certainly Microsoft involvement now, it scares you. Yeah. That's another thing.
So
Let's quickly, man, there's so many topics I want to talk about. What did you think of seeing what's that guy's name? Phil Spence or something like that? I don't even know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was awesome. He seemed really genuine about what he wanted and what the support he was going to give Blizzard. So I am, going to be speculatively positive about Microsoft until I see something negative.
Yeah, and this
So
is Diox just brought this up, and I'm actually interested in knowing more about this. He said, "Did they say anything about WoW going to Game Pass?" I didn't see the whole thing, and then it also makes me think,
nope.
like, did they mention anything about WoW and Xbox, like, or games, Blizzard games and Xbox? But they didn't, right?
They said no, they didn't. They said nothing about Game Pass. What they said is they wanted to get people as much accessibility as possible, and they showed a guy who, and I think it was hardcore, but he got to level 60 and killed one of the hardest bosses, and he's blind.
That was
And
Diablo
they were
4.
kind of pumping. Was that Diablo 4?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I completely mistaken then. Ignore I said anything. But
Well, no,
I
it's
mean,
still
it still
relevant.
stands.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still relevant. They're still looking at ways to make it easier for people to play. And if that's, playing on your Xbox, well, we've seen them do controller loadouts before. So then maybe, who knows?
Yeah, so yeah, you can
But they
actually
didn't say
play
anything.
WoW with the controller right now, and I tried it.
Yep.
I don't think it would be like if you get used to it, then yeah, you can play the game that way full and you'll never have any issues. But I don't think I could get used to it and still play on my computer. I don't think I would enjoy that. But if there was ever a
Yeah.
time when I stopped doing like competitive content, then yeah, maybe. Like, and then you could buy one of those like Steam Deck type things, like PCs in your hand kind of
Yep.
thing, and then you can just play WoW with that and you never have to have a computer again. Yeah, that's kind of fucking cool, honestly. But I don't think I can. I
I
tried it, and the problem is it requires 2 sets of keybinds. So anything that's bound to one key needs to be changed. Like if you want it in a
Yeah.
if you want to set it up, you pretty much need 2 UIs. And I'm just not. I don't have time for that. Like that's just too
Yeah.
much.
It's
But
too much.
yeah.
But yeah. No, I mean, I've tried it with other games. Like, there's a lot of RPGs out there that you can play with either the mouse and the keyboard or a controller, like The Witcher, stuff like that, Deus Ex. I've tried it with those, and honestly, some of them I prefer with a controller, and some of them I prefer with keyboard and mouse.
Yeah.
So it comes down to personal preference, I think.
One thing that I always ask this question and I never get an answer that's legitimate. How do you play the game if you have to type to people with a controller? and everybody's like, "Oh no, you still need a keyboard." It's like, well, what? Then just use the fucking keyboard to play the game. I don't like. Why would you ever?
I'll tell you how you do it. I'll tell you how you do it. You hop into voice chat. You hop into the in-game voice chat and you communicate that way.
Oh well, yeah, no doubt. But I mean, like, if you, I'm like, you can't make a group in the pre-made group finder with voice chat. You have to type something into the field. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. But again, stuff is gonna change. So who knows if that's something they're adding or not?
Could be. Yeah, I just don't know how other games have handled it in the past. But yeah, no, I think in turn, like Derek said, they could bring a lot more players to the Blizzard games by taking them to Xbox. That comment, honestly, if that's legitimately true, that comment about Diablo Immortal, 60% or was it 40%? One of the percentages of the player base had never played a Diablo game. That's kind of crazy to me because frankly, that game did not get a lot of positive publicity. I feel like it was kind of hated on. It ended up being a good game from what I've been told. But to overcome, to be like, hey, this is going to be my first Diablo game, that's hard to believe. So if that's true, then that really exemplifies the reach that these other consoles and other like ideas of gaming besides just PC, they have it. They have it. So I was actually, this is what I was originally going to bring up with this fella on stage. When they brought him up, I was like, holy fuck, they're going to tell us that we're going to be able to play it on Xbox. Like, I was so sure of that. And then he didn't say it. And I was like, wait, what the fuck? Why? What was he on the stage for? I was almost like so sure of it that when he didn't say it, I was confused what I was hearing. Like, and so I have to go back and watch that. But I think what Gaming Code actually says, like, he's like, I think it was just too soon to make any real announcements involving Xbox. And he was just there because it happened. And so maybe next BlizzCon, they'll have some big announcements. So they'll be changing the monetization of the games or something like that. But yeah, he's probably right. It's only been a few weeks anyway since the full merger has acquired. So
yeah, I think he was there just to reassure people that WoW wasn't going off the rails, to say, hey, we like World of Warcraft. We're going to support it in the way you enjoy playing it. There's not going to be any huge, massive changes that we're going to put in yet. So I think that's what he was there for, is just to reassure people.
Yeah, that could be it. It could be that, like, just to be, now I'm part of this, so get to know me. I'm a new face of this whole thing. That could be it. That could be it. Just like an assurance thing. But I was just so shocked when I saw the fellow. I was like, oh God, look at this. There was so many things that happened in the beginning of the convention that I was like, holy shit, I can't believe this was about to happen. And then it didn't happen the way I thought it was going to. And I was just like, wait, what did they say? I thought it was going to be this, and it wasn't this. Like, especially when Mike,
you and me both.
Yeah, when Mike Ybarra came out, I was like, wait, what happened to Chris Metzen? Like, I was like, I thought for sure it would have been him coming out.
Yeah. Ibarra sent some invisible ninjas to cut onions in my apartment.
Yeah, was he like crying? What was he going? What was up with that?
I think he was getting ready to cry. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I start thinking about stuff like Rusty and people that we used to know back a couple expansions ago, and I'm like, oh, wow, it really has. Like, this game kept me alive, and I'm not even exaggerating. When my brother passed, this game kept me alive. There is just no two ways about it. Being able to hang out with you guys, being able to watch and eventually raid, that kept me in a place where I felt it wasn't better to not be here anymore, And Ibarra just the way he talked about it. I'm starting to get caught up again. It really hit me right in the heart,
Yeah.
So
it's crazy. It's powerful, man. Game's fucking powerful, dude. Games in general, but like I do agree with him. Like, I know he's paid to say this, but like I actually agree with what he's saying. Like, Blizzard games, they have a little bit more soul to them, I feel like, than these fucking 10 Xbox games a year that people burn through. Like, I watch young kids now, they play like 20 games at once. Like, they don't focus on any one and they just cycle through them. And it's like the games are promoting other games, and even like the super popular
every year.
Yeah, well, even the super popular ones like Fortnite, it's like there's just so much content added every week. It's like it just doesn't feel like it's very easy to immerse yourself into. But like, WoW and Diablo and these franchises that have been around since we were fucking children, it's like, man, there's
Yep.
There's something permanent about it that makes it really feel almost like you're walking into your house every time you log on, you know?
I still remember the first time I ever played Warcraft 1. I was a door-to-door vacuum cleaner salesman, and I had hurt my back to the point where I couldn't really get out of bed without a lot of help. And my dad brought home these discs, and they were pirated, of course. And it was Warcraft 1. And that just even that
Hmm.
helped me get through that kind of challenge
Yeah.
because it was so amazing for the time, you know?
Yeah,
So
that's
I said
cool.
it since 1994, Blizzard has owned my soul. And it ain't changing
94.
anytime soon.
Jesus, dude. Man, how old was I in 94? I wasn't even
I was
born
20.
yet. Yeah, I wasn't even born yet.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding. I was born in 89, but yeah, that was pre if it's earlier than Pokemon in my life, there's no connection for me, but yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
That's
you
pretty
had to
cool,
build
man.
roads to connect your buildings, and
In
there was
game or
not
in
a
real life?
yeah in game
Oh, I thought you meant to be able to play with other people. You had to establish roads
No,
to
no,
transfer the packets from one game to the other.
no. But yeah, it was slow. It told a very simple story, but the thing that really got me by the time I was done both sides is that both sides won, and both sides winning are canon. You know,
Oh, in
Stormwind was
Warcraft
burned
1?
down. Yeah, and Blackrock Depths was destroyed.
I wish
So
they would remake those
they
games.
yeah.
I
I mean,
never
they've
played
got them
Warcraft 1 and
on
2, but I tried to install Warcraft 2 and it was just a complete mess. Like it wouldn't work on my computer. So
yeah.
I wish they would remake it. Dude, I'll tell you, I don't know. Have you played Diablo 2 Resurrected?
No, I haven't played any Diablo games since
Yeah.
maybe Diablo 3 back in MOP
Yeah, you don't
because
really like them either.
I want to like the story, but every time I start talking to people about it, they're like, "Oh, you won't like the story. You shouldn't play it."
What the hell?
And I'm like, "Oh."
Who says that to you? What the hell?
Vic says
Oh,
that to me all
fucking
the
Vic,
time.
of course, dude. The story captain. That's funny, actually, you said that. But yeah,
Unless I'm
no,
misremembering again.
it's really like I think it's one of the best games ever made now that I played it as much as I have, and the fact that it's fully moddable is a big part of that. But I was
Yeah.
gonna say Diablo 2 Remaster is the best remaster ever made, I think, because it is the exact same fucking game. It's just fully updated, better graphics. You could even switch between the graphics like with a button press. Like you press I think it's the F
Wow.
key, and it switches. Nothing else changes about the game. You switch from one graphics to the old from the old to the new seamlessly, no lag or nothing. You can use computer,
Wow.
you can use your desktop like mouse and keyboard, or you can use gamepad seamlessly. Even Diablo 3 doesn't work that way. It's like, man, it's just fucking great. I really has to be the best remaster. I haven't played a ton. Obviously, like Final Fantasy 7, that was a great game, but that was like basically a whole new game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is the
Yeah.
exact same fucking game. So if they just did that with Warcraft 1 and 2, I think they could package them into one game and just
Yeah.
make like a proper remaster with you could even just fucking make. I bet people probably did this, of course, in the Warcraft 3 custom game. You can just make it in the Warcraft 3 engine. You don't even need a new architecture. You can just use the game they already have.
Yeah.
But I would just really like to play those games, is what I'm trying to say. But I just don't know if I can at this point.
That's how I want them to redo them. Is just make them as campaigns inside of Warcraft 3 Reforged.
Yeah.
You know? So you could see how human paladins are created. You know, you could get some lore with Alonza's Foul and all that kind of stuff. You could see how Warcraft 2 was leading the orcs toward being a little bit less evil, even though their leadership was very
Oh,
evil.
wait, Alonza's Foul is in Warcraft 2? Is that what you said?
Yep, 100%. That's
Ugh.
you rescue him from a dungeon and he has a tome that allows you to create paladins.
What the fuck? Are you serious?
Yep,
Damn,
that's
man.
how paladins were created.
I think I would like that.
It really is like, well, you know, Warcraft maps are like not like World of Warcraft, but yeah, you have to dungeon crawl and get him and escape the dungeon, and he's like, "Here's this book. I've been working on making our warriors holy and our priests more warrior-like." So
That'd be cool.
that's how humans got paladins.
I might try that.
I loved it. Yeah.
Maybe I'll go watch
You
it.
should be able to get a playable version from GOG.com because they guarantee that all the games they sell work in brand new systems.
Oh yeah, that's like a relatively recent thing that those games got put on there. No, I think that's the case. Yeah, I had tried this like back in
Yeah,
like Mop, I think it was.
yeah. I think it's only been a few years since they put them on there, but I
Yeah,
remember getting Warcraft 1 and it worked flawlessly on my old computer. And it really shouldn't have
that's
because it's
very
so old.
interesting. That's very interesting. Okay.
But yeah, tell you,
So yeah, man,
the
what a day.
lore's huge.
I totally agree. Crazy stuff today. Tomorrow there's the deep dive panel. Any thoughts on what might come?
Yeah. I think we're going to see more about the hero talents. I think we're going to see more about delves. I think we're going to see more about the account-wide transmogs and how maybe you can do that on a clothy to get plate stuff. I think I think that's kind of where they're going to go. They're going to go look at
Yeah.
all this stuff that we are putting into it that is quality of life better. Because I don't think they
Yes.
want to say this is the story right now. They want to say this is the
Right.
quality of
This will
life
be about
improvements.
systems and gameplay, no doubt.
Mhm.
But I feel like they already did so much of that. I just don't know. I think last time they did one of these deep dives, quote unquote, it was like was it BFA or Shadowlands? It might have been Shadowlands where they had the
Okay.
legendaries announced. I don't
Mm.
remember. But anyway, it's like the deep dive was where they're like, here's a bunch of ideas that we have for these things. You know what I mean? So I think that
Yep.
might be what it is. But I feel like we know unless there's some still announcement still to come, like a feature that we don't know about already. Um, and I was trying to explain this to people the other day. Like, this one dude was like, this is fucking crazy to me. The guy's like, I'm not really that hyped for BlizzCon this year. I was like, why not? He's like, well, I'm looking at these leaks and there's just not really anything I'm excited for. I was like, okay, well, first of all, that's fucking retarded. I mean, you're
Well,
talking about a leak. It might not even be real, which it ended up not being. And second of all, it's BlizzCon. They're not going to tell you every minute detail about the expansion. That's not what they're there
yeah,
for. Like I asked him, I was like, when was the last time you like actually cared about these zones like as the main reason you logged on? Like them showing you the
yeah,
zones is cool for 10 minutes. And then it's like, oh, that's just a zone I'm going to spend 100 hours in. So what else? You know what I mean? Like you don't get the
yep,
what else right now. We didn't get that part
yeah,
yet. So I don't like expect there to be, but like the core features I would like to hear about, like those can still come and can still be exciting. I'm really interested in hearing
yep,
how they handle leveling. Most
yep,
especially excited about what they do with Dragonflight zones. Will they bundle that into Chromie time? Because if so, we're going to be spending a lot of time in Azure Span.
yep,
What, yeah, like just what they do for the overall flow of leveling, maybe how they even plan on approaching that into the future of 11.0. And then, yeah, I mean, it's still Dragonflight, dude. It's still the best expansion I played. It's still outstanding. I
yep.
don't really want it to end. I'm in no rush for it to end. So what does the
Me
rest of
too.
Dragonflight? I mean, dude, we have a fucking patch on Tuesday, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
there's still a patch coming on Tuesday. Like, I can't wait to see. I'm sure there's tons of encrypted stuff in that patch too. So there's just so
yep,
much to think about for the next few weeks.
yeah. We're definitely gonna get some things about Dragonflight. They'll probably iterate about the prologue and the epilogue and how that's gonna work, and maybe they'll talk about a faster expansion cycle or the same expansion cycle or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, that's what
You know.
Diox asked. Did they mention any plans about the saga's release cycle? We talked about this earlier. I don't even remember him saying that he said faster. I think what he meant to say, like when I heard him say something,
Mhm,
to me it sounded like he was saying consistent, not necessarily faster,
mhm.
because there's been this weird
Yeah,
problem where gets really wobbly, right? Like if you remember Legion, well, I don't know
yeah,
if you play, but regardless, it's like there's been times when it's like here's content, content, content and nothing for 6 months or something like that, you know? So I think they're just trying to
yeah,
get ahead of that and they're serious about making that more of a like a cadence, like a real proper cadence where you
yeah,
can expect it instead of just like, well, I don't know, is there PTR? Yeah, when's it coming out? You know, like you'll be able to set your watch to some of these things now moving forward.
yeah,
And probably the expansion cycle will be one of those things. I still see it being 2 years though. I mean, unless they just start
yeah. Me
doing
too.
only like, earlier, people are constantly asking, is it going to be a one raid expansion in my chat? I'm like, I almost paused you and be like, "Why are you fucking asking that? Of course, it's not going to be one raid. What are you talking about? We're not going to go to this underground area and only fight Nerubians. Like, what are you talking about?" But the question does, is there going to be 2, 3, 4? Like, is it a full expansion? Who knows? But I think the only thing that's changing here is that they're verbally committing to the story. That's it. Everything else happens. Like, this happens behind the scenes. You know what I mean? They didn't need to tell us this shit, but for some reason they did, and because they wanted to prove that they're serious about the story and the cohesion of the story and what it looks like moving forward. So,
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I'll say about that is the way I understood what was being said was that there's not going to be a content drought. They didn't use those exact words, but there was always going to be something coming. So to me, that's like, well, we might probably still do a 2-year cycle, but there's always going to be something new every few weeks to do. But
yeah, we'll see
knows?
how the rest of this expansion plays out. Me and Cop talked about this before, but for those who are joining us just now, like, they said that they have some kind of plan for regular content for the next, presumably, 1 full year. Like, the expansion of the next expansion is coming out next fall, 2024. So presumably that means 1 full year. I mean, maybe it's like 10 months, but fall just started. So it's not like we're, 1 day from Christmas here or something like that. Like, we're talking at least 10 months. So how are they going to keep content coming out regularly 10 months? That means at least 4 patches, right? So, obviously one of them is coming out Tuesday, but do we still have 4 patches? I don't see that. So we'll see. And if there's a good blueprint for that moving forward, then you could reasonably extrapolate that onto those next 3 expansions and assume that's just how they'll do it. Because I don't think Dragonflight's a fucking coincidence. There's a huge improvement in the quality of life, in the way the features are discovered, the way the features are delivered, like the ideas of evergreen features with talents and dragon riding and exploration and professions and all these things. There's reasons that this happened in Dragonflight. They were basically already setting up these next 3 expansions. They just didn't tell us about it until now. And the only difference now is that they're telling us about, that's the only actual difference. Everything else is going to probably play out the exact same way.
For sure, for sure. I 100% agree with you. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm assuming we'll get some of that tomorrow, but who knows, right?
Yeah, could be anything really tomorrow. I don't know. I'm excited for it. But that's it for me. Anything else for you?
No, not a darn thing else for me. Thanks, bud. We'll do this again tomorrow after the deep dive. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if I'm gonna have time.
Okay.
So I don't know. I would say probably just not, and then maybe I'll make a video on it or something like that shortly. I just don't. First of all, I don't think there's really enough. Like, even if it's 1 full hour of jam-packed stuff, like, I don't think we have that much to talk about at this point. But yeah, I'll probably just make a video, maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday. I don't know if there's anything really important. But yeah, I'm super excited for it. And then, patch on Tuesday. So in terms of my end, hopefully we'll be back Tuesday. I don't know if they've announced the downtime yet. But obviously there's going to be some kind of downtime on Tuesday. So hopefully it won't be super long. But we still have, like I said, fucking another expansion, dude. We have another year of Dragonflight. So I'm still hyped for that.
Me too. Well, I'm going to be off tomorrow then. And I'll come and do my Blood DK leveling on Sunday and do my mount farming on Monday. And then the new patch on Tuesday.
Sweet. Yeah, stay tuned. Cop's doing a lot of good stuff. He's leveling a Death Knight right now, so we could potentially, I could do some coaching again in Mythic Plus. He's going to tank, right?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I really, really want that legendary now after I saw that Fryak cinematic.
Yeah, that was cool cinematic. So we'll be together again soon. This is the first time me and Cop have made content together in a while, I feel like, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The only other time was when you got me my first 20 this season.
Yeah, that was yesterday,
the last time we were together.
Hopped on yesterday.
No, the first one.
The first one.
The first one. Yeah. It was hang on. Freehold. You kept death gripping the bomb onto me.
Oh,
trying to kill me.
Yeah, I remember that wasn't that long ago. That was only a month ago or something. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, me and Cop did key yesterday together. He needed his last hauls or something. 20 was the only one he didn't have for the portal, so we did that yesterday. But yeah,
Metro carried me through.
It was good times, and hopefully more good times to come. So Thanks for stopping by, man.
Absolutely.
I Diox too, man. I'm glad to see you, man. Hope you're well. And yeah, let's all catch up again sometime soon. But Cop, good shit, man. We'll see you soon,
Too,
and
buddy.
hopefully in season 4 we'll get together a lot.
Sounds good, buddy. Thanks for copping on by, everybody. Take care. And we'll see you next time.
All right,
Peace.
thanks a lot, man.
Cop out. Thanks, buddy.
Hey, you too, man. Have a good one. Okay, I'll see you. We'll talk tomorrow and see what's up.
Absolutely. After the panel, we can talk about what's good and what's
Yep,
not.
maybe there's something worth making. Maybe even a short video together or something.
100%. But right now, I've got to go and lie in bed because I'm about half dead.
Oh, well, wake up, bro.
Oh, No, I started getting sick as the panel started. I have a huge fever right now, and my shaking wasn't from excitement entirely.
Yeah, I feel you.
So I'm gonna go lie down in bed for a little bit.
All right,
so.
get some rest, man. Hope you feel better.
Thanks, buddy. Take it easy.
See ya. And everybody else too, thanks for watching tonight, guys, especially anybody watching in post. Let me know, especially in post, what your most anticipated announcements are. For me, it is absolutely, without question, the class further customization, the hero talents. Love the fucking concept. Hopefully it'll be rich, flavorful. You know, we do have a lot of talent work done this expansion, so I feel like it's another one of those things that if they put it on paper, it has the potential to be something that's iterated upon for the rest of the time. You know what I mean? Like, we might be talking about this for 2 years again, just like we did with talents, right? Constantly talent changes, those types of things. Anything that's on the box, anything that's a feature announced at BlizzCon is something that you can expect them to iterate on for the full expansion. So yeah, between that and the delves, I'm really looking forward to potentially more solo content. And fortunately, you know, like I said, with no Torghast, nothing like Torghast, Dragonflight really kind of had this weird, especially in the first like 6 months of the expansion. I was kind of like, what the fuck am I doing? I didn't know what to do. I don't have any interest in the rep. It didn't have any power for me. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. But now I'm starting to get settled into it more. I've been enjoying leveling characters and stuff. But yeah, hopefully a little bit more world content with purpose. I'll be looking forward to that. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you guys sometime soon. Probably maybe Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, depending on the patch. But yeah, no real plans for videos or anything right now. Kind of just gonna digest this. Maybe if there's something crazy tomorrow, me and Cop will make another one. But otherwise, we'll see you guys next week for the patch.